Chapter 3893. Killing you isn't difficult. The territory of Likong world was vast. The world-burning fire burned for over 2 months before completely refining it. The world-burning fire grew stronger again since Lin Moyu began refining worlds. The previously stagnant world-burning fire had started to advance. In the past, refining a world like this would have taken at least 6 months. Now, 2 months was enough. Lin Moyu played with the freshly forged, still warm world crystal. This crystal from a technological world was somewhat different from those he'd obtained before. In cultivator worlds, there are more great Daos, so after refining, the world crystal naturally contains much more great Dao power. In technological worlds, the number of great Daos is relatively small, and even those present are often used to forge warships, so the world crystal's internal Daos are sparse. However, there was a faint, unusual aura within something Lin Moyu had been seeking: the physics great Dao. He tossed the world crystal into the myriad worlds and watched as it was devoured and refined. Gradually, a brand new great Dao appeared within his world. Lin Moyu was delighted.
It worked!
With the emergence of the physics great Dao, the myriad worlds became more complete, and Lin Moyu could clearly sense its power growing again. Now, with the physics great Dao, his undead servants could mobilize it to counteract the technological effects. For example, the influence Black Mountain Civilization's warships had on his undead servants would be greatly reduced even without the myriad world's help. Those warships could now be destroyed. With the physics great Dao, his undead servants would be much more confident facing technological civilizations and less affected by their tricks.
It's time to set out and get to the bottom of this,
Lin Moyu said, riding Huasan toward Black Mountain Civilization. He traveled through the mist technological worlds corresponded to the Tianzhou Great Spirit Domain, and the region was vast. The distance between worlds was not small. These technological civilizations must have some way to locate each world and use special means to travel between them almost instantly. Their use of space was in no way inferior to space Dao Lords. After a few days, Lin Moyu also began to teleport. The myriad world's influence only covered a few thousand kilometers, too small for effective teleportation. After several attempts, he realized flying was still faster. He couldn't use the same chaotic methods as his undead servants, who could leverage the myriad worlds to manipulate the local Daos. Ordinary methods didn't work, so he considered the methods used by technological civilizations. They didn't rely on the space great Dao, but instead folded space with massive energy, creating a short tunnel between 2 points for spatial jumps. This was more direct and forceful, not true mastery of space, and in Lin Moyu's eyes, not a proper method. Still, he could use it if needed. With a surge of power, he twisted space before him, and a distant point millions of miles away also warped under his will. The two spaces folded together, and Lin Moyu stepped through, instantly arriving 100,000 miles away. Jumping 100,000 miles at a time wasn't fast. He could fly that far in a blink, but as he practiced, his speed increased. Eventually, he could fold millions of miles at once, teleporting in an instant much faster than flying. Even so, Lin Moyu knew this wasn't the right path. A true space great Dao Lord could teleport anywhere within the Dao's reach, regardless of distance. This proved that the technological path, while possible, could never reach the peak. 10 days later, following the thread of karma, Lin Moyu arrived in Black Mountain Civilization's territory. He knew they were aware of his approach. Along the way, countless photon detectors had surely relayed the information back. Ahead, the mist parted, revealing Black Mountain Civilization's massive fleet. There were over 1 billion ships fewer than Likong Civilization, but each one much stronger. In the end, technological advancement pursues quality over quantity. At the front were over 100 triangular warships, each about 10,000 meters long. Though not huge, they gave Lin Moyu a sense of real danger. These 100 triangular ships were likely Black Mountain Civilization's trump card, their strongest force. Lin Moyu smiled.
Looks like you're ready. Let's have a fight then.
Snap. With a snap of his fingers, 100 billion undead servants appeared in the void. The undead formed battle formations, each radiating a different great Dao, exuding overwhelming power. In terms of momentum, Lin Moyu's side was superior. The pressure of Tao lords swept the void, greatly affecting Black Mountain Civilization's people. Even their thoughts slowed. If not for their modifications, they might not have been able to move at all. From a distance of millions of miles, Black Mountain Civilization projected an image into the void. Black Lin appeared again.
Cultivator, you should know we don't want to be your enemy.
Lin Moyu replied.
Actually, dealing with you isn't hard. I can crush you head on, or use soul attacks to destroy your souls like this.
He flicked out a bit of world-burning fire and simultaneously opened space, instantly teleporting the fire onto a triangular warship. As the flames landed, screams erupted from within. A shield automatically appeared, forcefully isolating the fire. But the world-burning fire continued to burn on the shield, impossible to extinguish by normal means. Lin Moyu laughed.
Nice shield. But can you live under it forever? If I want, I can spread this fire across your entire world in an instant.
This was a new tactic he'd just thought of. In these technological worlds, people's souls were weak. The world-burning fire could completely suppress them. Black Lin looked grim.
Your strength is beyond our imagination. This war is meaningless for both sides and can be avoided. Please state your terms.
Lin Moyu said, You claim not to know where the celestial god civilization is. I'll take your word for it. But I want all your data related to the celestial god civilization. And I want your technology data as well. You know I'm a cultivator, I'm just curious.
But I suggest you give me the real thing. If you deceive me, I'll come back, and your end will be the same as Likung worlds burned to ashes, everyone dead.
Lin Moyu laid out his demands. Whether they agreed or not was up to Black Mountain Civilization. As with Likung Civilization, he gave them a chance. Whether they seized it was not his concern. Black Lin was clearly consulting with others. After a long while, he replied,
You must swear that the technology data we give you won't be shared with anyone else.
Lin Moyu smiled.
I can only promise not to give it to the Tech Alliance or the Science Tao Alliance. Beyond that, I can't guarantee.
Chapter 3894. Reconnecting Causality. After repeated threats and witnessing Lin Moyu's abilities, even without a direct fight, Black Mountain Civilization could already analyze the outcome. The result? They would definitely lose no matter what. Even if they rallied several other 8th-level civilizations, they still wouldn't be able to defeat Lin Moyu. 100 billion undead servants. Each one so powerful. Lin Moyu's display of strength left them in despair. Faced with the survival of their civilization, Lin Moyu's demands didn't seem so excessive anymore. Lin Moyu knew that technological civilizations excel at analysis, and he trusted they'd reach the correct conclusion. A few minutes later, Black Lin spoke again.
We can agree to your demands, but...
Lin Moyu interrupted.
No buts. You have no bargaining chips, and my patience is limited.
Black Lin replied helplessly.
We accept your terms. Please wait.
Moments later, 2 information crystals flew over. An undead servant collected and checked them, then handed them to Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu didn't check them immediately. He wasn't worried about Black Mountain Civilization trying to deceive him, unless they had a death wish. He said,
To be honest, I originally planned to kill you all. Refining a world brings me considerable benefits.
Black Lin seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. Through the projection, he looked quietly at Lin Moyu.
I hope you'll keep your word.
Lin Moyu smiled.
Don't worry. I always keep my promises.
With a wave, Lin Moyu turned and disappeared into the world mist. Black Mountain Civilization, being shrewd enough, escaped disaster. Through their photon detectors, they confirmed Lin Moyu had left and finally relaxed. In the world mist, Lin Moyu had Huasan slowly move away as he began to examine the information in the crystals. As an 8th-level civilization, Black Mountain Civilization's understanding of the Celestial God Civilization far surpassed that of Likung Civilization. They had personally seen envoys from the Celestial God Civilization and experienced their power. The Tech Alliance was even founded at the Celestial God Civilization's suggestion. Although the Celestial God Civilization rarely appeared, every civilization in the Tech Alliance was subordinate to them and had to obey their orders. The data included detailed and accurate images of the celestial god civilization. Lin Moyu was 100% certain. The celestial god civilization and the extraterritorial celestial gods from the celestial god realm were exactly the same. The envoy who once descended on Black Mountain civilization had a pair of wings. From the data, Lin Moyu discerned a key difference. The celestial god civilization was not purely a technological civilization. Otherwise, there wouldn't be members with 10 pairs of wings. 10-winged extraterritorial celestial gods are Tao lords. Clearly, the celestial god civilization harbored significant secrets. But indeed, no one knew where the celestial god civilization was. They always appeared on their own initiative, displaying their power and maintaining their status. After reading about the celestial god civilization, Lin Moyu skimmed the technology data. He couldn't understand it, but that didn't matter. He integrated it into the myriad worlds. Under the influence of the physics great Tao, perhaps some worlds would evolve down the technological path. The physics great Tao set its own rules in a given region, without affecting other Taos. In this area, there were also some middle and small worlds. If anyone pursued the technological path, this data could play a role in the background. In Lin Moyu's view, cultivation and technology are not in conflict. Maybe they can't be perfectly integrated yet, but perhaps one day he'll make it happen. Back when Xiao Zhantian obtained that technological artifact, it barely saved his life and later protected the human race for 1,000,000 years. For this reason, Lin Moyu would never underestimate the value of technology. Having finished, his next goal was to search for the celestial god civilization. Lin Moyu pondered how to proceed. The celestial god civilization was definitely here, but the world was vast and hard to search. If he searched from the soul void, it might be easier, but that wasn't a good method. There would be too many limitations.
If the celestial god civilization and the celestial god realm are connected, then after the celestial god realm's defeat, would they return to seek out the celestial god civilization? That possibility is high. I have karma with the celestial god realm. Maybe I can use that to find the celestial god civilization.
Lin Moyu tried to sense the karmic threads tied to him, but after searching for a while, he found nothing.
Why can't I find it?
He wondered. He'd killed so many extraterritorial celestial gods. His karma with the celestial god realm should be obvious. Why couldn't he find it? There was only one possibility. The celestial god realm had forcibly severed its karmic connection with the origin continent, which also cut off his karma with them.
That must be it. The celestial god civilization has causal weapons if they wanted to cut karma. It's not impossible. This is troublesome.
Lin Moyu muttered. This wasn't some secret realm he could sweep with his undead army. Even if he sent out 1,000,000,000,000 undead. In this boundless space, they'd be just a drop in the ocean. After thinking it over, Lin Moyu thought of the Lord of Cause and Effect, and Yuyen. Maybe she could help. He took out a causality seed and activated it with his soul, sending a message.
Senior, are you there?
The omnipresent cause and effect great Tao trembled slightly, and Lin Moyu's words were transmitted through it. A moment later, and Yuyen's slightly lazy voice sounded.
Fellow Taoist Lin, what's the matter?
Lin Moyu said,
I'm searching for a world, but the other side has severed karma. Do you have a way?
And Yuyen replied,
I can temporarily reconnect the severed karma and point you in the right direction.
Lin Moyu asked,
Is a lump of desolate beast essence enough?
Hearing that, and Yuyen perked up.
Fellow Taoist Lin, you're too polite. That's more than enough for a small favor. Wait a moment, I'll be right there.
So much for it.
Small favor.
Lin Moyu had thought she'd help for free, but in the end, it was all about the desolate beast essence. After a while, the void twisted and a clone of the Lord of Cause and Effect appeared before Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu truly envied these great Tao lords by relying on their Taos. They could break the boundary between reality and illusion and travel anywhere in an instant. And Yuyen looked Lin Moyu up and down.
You have several karmic threads that have already been cut. Which one do you want reconnected?
Lin Moyu described the celestial god realm and briefly simulated the aura of the extraterritorial celestial gods.
So it's them.
And Yuyen chuckled, and with a flick of her jade finger, a faint light appeared on Lin Moyu. A barely visible thread of karmic energy was drawn out so fine Lin Moyu could barely see it. He asked,
Senior, you know the celestial god realm?
and Yuyen replied,
Of course. That world is too unusual. All of us great Tao lords know something about it.
Lin Moyu said,
Could you tell me more?
and Yuyen smiled.
They are a technological world called the celestial god civilization, but their path is a dead end. They can't reach eternity. So they tried to find another way.
Chapter 3895, Stepping Stone. Living a long life really does have its advantages. There's so much more, you know. Although she isn't like the discernment beast, who can hear and see everything, and Yuyen's knowledge far surpasses Lin Moyu's. Lin Moyu suspects that En Yuyen attained the Tao even before the first era of the origin continent. And Yuyen began to recount some things about the celestial god civilization. This is an ancient region. Lin Moyu sensed it upon arrival. Black Mountain civilization is also ancient, even older than much of the origin continent. Ancient regions are special. Here, a unique great Tao suppresses all others and sets its own rules. No one knows where this great Tao comes from, not even in Yuyen. This great Tao is the physics great Tao. Because of its existence, the worlds in this region are difficult to cultivate in, so the beings here walked another path, the path of technology. The corresponding soul void regions are the Tianyu and Tianzhou great spirit domains. Tianzhou is most deeply affected by the physics great Tao. People there have completely severed the path of cultivation and follow only the path of technology. In Tianyu, the influence is lighter, so their worlds combine cultivation and technology. The interplay of yin and yang, reality and illusion, ultimately formed the current landscape. But regardless of the path, all are limited and cannot reach the peak. What En Yuyen calls the peak is
Eternity.
not just the final step. The celestial god civilization is just like this. Their technology reached its zenith, forming the Tech Alliance and dividing technology into 9 levels. They stand at the very top, the only 9th level civilization. But when technology reached its peak, the celestial god civilization realized their road was cut off. They could go no further. So they began searching for a new path. They discovered the world's outside realms where cultivation was possible, where individuals could seek immortality, comprehend the great Tao, and live forever without relying on technology. At great cost, they sent a world into the outer realms, away from the influence of the physics great Tao. But the impact of the physics great Tao was so deep that even after leaving its range, it took countless years for that world to evolve the many Taos suitable for cultivation. The celestial god civilization went through many generations during this time, but eventually, they could cultivate. They slowly comprehended the great Tao, grew stronger, fought off external enemies, and became a brilliant, powerful world. That world is the celestial god realm. The celestial god realm and the celestial god civilization were originally one, with deep foundations and a far greater understanding of power than other, more ignorant worlds. They seized control of the world will early on, transforming the world into something akin to a technological product. Their goal was for the world will to lead the entire world to ascend. In their vision, when the world will attain eternity, there would be no need to sacrifice the world's inhabitants. Everyone, even newborns, could achieve the Tao and live forever. Life in the celestial god realm would become beautiful, but before that, they needed powerful warriors, so the world enforced a brutal selection mechanism. Lin Moyu recalled the selection mechanism he'd seen in the celestial god realm's sealed depths. It was indeed cruel. No wonder those inverted triangle buildings felt so technological. So this is the origin of the celestial god realm? Lin Moyu asked.
What about the Black Water realm?
And Yuyan smiled. The Black Water realm was originally the Black Water civilization, which followed a path of combined cultivation and technology. At first, they were much like the celestial god civilization, reaching a dead end and seeking a new path. The difference is they found a special world, one cursed. At the time, the people of Blackwater didn't realize it and were affected by the curse.
So they were all reborn. The whole world was swallowed by black water, then re-emerged from it, becoming what they are now, either human nor ghost. But they also gained certain benefits from the black water. Black water realm beings are very hard to kill, and their combat power is strong.
Everything An Yuyen described matched Lin Moyu's impression of the Black Water realm. He murmured,
"A cursed world. If I remember right, the origin of the Black Water realm was a single drop of blood."
and Yuyen laughed.
"That's right. But it wasn't just any blood, it was the blood of the Lord of Curses. Back then, the Lord of Curses did some unsavory things to take his final step, creating immense karma. When that karma erupted, the Lord of Curses fell into silence, and a drop of his essence blood evolved into a special world, which the Black Water civilization took back with them. So the Black Water realm's world wasn't naturally evolved, but a false world created from the Lord of Curses' blood. The Black Water civilization was cursed, becoming neither human nor ghost. The web of cause and effect here is truly tangled."
And Yuyen narrowed her eyes.
"Lin friend, it seems you also have karma with the Black Water realm. My advice, don't get involved. After all, this involves the Lord of Curses."
Lin Moyu could tell that An Yuyen was wary of the Lord of Curses. He didn't even know what kind of person the Lord of Curses was.
"But karma is already formed. Sometimes it's not up to me."
Lin Moyu sighed, and Yuyen said,
"If you wish, I can help you sever this karma."
Lin Moyu thought for a moment and said quietly,
"Then I'll trouble you."
and Yuyen replied,
"It's nothing."
as the Lord of Cause and Effect, severing karma was easy for her. She reached out a pale finger and drew out a thread of karma, making it manifest. This thread was hidden very deeply if not for the Lord of Cause and Effect. Lin Moyu wouldn't have seen it at all. On the karmic thread, Lin Moyu sensed the aura of the Black Blood realm. And Yuyen pinched the thread, as if to break it, but it was incredibly tough and wouldn't snap. She frowned, put more force into it, but still it wouldn't break. Her expression grew grave. She grasped the karmic thread with one hand and chopped at it with the other. A tremor rang out in Lin Moyu's soul, and his body felt as if it were being tugged somewhat uncomfortable. And Yuyen's avatar was flung back thousands of meters with a cry of surprise. Lin Moyu asked,
"Senior, what happened?"
When An Yuyen returned, her face was extremely grave.
"He's coming back."
Lin Moyu's heart stirred.
"The Lord of Curses?"
And Yuyen nodded solemnly.
"Yes, and he's chosen you as his stepping stone. You must be careful."
Chapter 3896. It's not certain who will die. Lin Moyu showed a hint of confusion, not fully understanding what An Yuyen meant. And Yuyen explained, a great Tao Lord does not die, only falls into silence. One day they will return. The reasons for their silence vary, and so do their ways of returning. The Lord of Curses, during his silence, set a curse. When he returns, he will curse and kill all beings, condense the strongest cursed body, and once again attempt the final step. Cursing all beings is easy to understand, but condensing the strongest cursed body is more complicated.
The cursed body is very special. First, it requires an almost perfect physical vessel. On that foundation, it is then wrapped with the power of curses and the blood of all beings to form the shell.
Lin Moyu said quietly,
"So, the Lord of Curses chose me as his vessel after silence? Doesn't he want his own body?"
and Yuyen shook her head.
"He never had a physical body."
Lin Moyu couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. This answer was far too unexpected. The Lord of Curses never had a physical body. So what kind of existence is he? And Yuyen pondered for a moment, then said slowly, when I attained the Tao, he was already close to silence, so I don't know much about his past. What I've said is all deduced from cause and effect. His existence is very unique, he's the most special among us.
Since he's chosen you as his stepping stone, you must be careful. It's best if you achieve eternity before he returns, only then will you have the capital to resist him.
Lin Moyu thought for a moment.
Besides me, his return is probably also tied to the Black Blood realm. In that case, if I destroy the Black Blood realm, can I block his path to return?
And Yuyen replied,
Perhaps. But the Black Blood realm contains his essence blood. When you act, you must be cautious.
The Lord of Curses is so strange and unpredictable that even in Yuyen, herself a great Tao Lord, is extremely wary of him, let alone Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu said,
"Thank you for the warning, Senior. I'll be careful."
and Yuyan nodded.
"Your karma with the Celestial God realm has been reconnected, and I've also revealed your karma with the Black Blood realm. With my power of cause and effect, you should be able to find them. Be careful in all things. Until we meet again."
And Yuyan left, delighted with the desolate beast essence she received. Before she left, Lin Moyu clearly saw a trace of regret in her eyes. She pitied him. In her view, Lin Moyu stood almost no chance in a contest with the Lord of Curses. After all, he was only a Tao Lord, still far from the Lord of Curses level. But Lin Moyu didn't care. No matter who stood in his way, Lord of Curses or anyone else, he would crush them all.
"Next, I'll go find the Celestial God realm."
Lin Moyu activated the power of cause and effect, linking himself to the Celestial God realm. This reconnected karma was not strong and would only last a short while. Soon, it would be severed again. The Celestial God realm had clearly cut off karma with him, not wanting any further connection. As for the origin continent, they had already abandoned it. But things are never that simple. As for the Black Blood realm, even without the Lord of Curses, Lin Moyu would have sought them out to settle scores. Gold Lion Tao Lord had also given him a karma crystal. Even without and Yuyan's help, he could find them. Between him and the Black Blood realm, it was a matter of life and death, a debt that had dragged on since the Great World, and now it was time to settle it. The power of cause and effect pointed the way, and Lin Moyu shattered space and teleported away. With each jump, his speed increased. Lin Moyu found it odd the direction pointed straight to the center of the technological world. The power of the physics great Tao grew stronger. Lin Moyu even wondered if he was approaching the source of the physics great Tao itself. If he could obtain its true form, that would be ideal. Half a day later, Lin Moyu stopped. According to the karmic thread, the Celestial God realm was here. There were many restrictions in this place. The power of the great Tao was thin. Even the immortality great Tao was affected. This was the first time this had happened before. No matter where he was, the immortality great Tao was always transcendent and unchanged. Lin Moyu now witnessed the dominance of the physics great Tao and how unsuited this place was for cultivation. Before him was a dense mist, with no sign of a world. But cause and effect doesn't lie. If it pointed here, then this was the place. The Celestial God civilization must have used some method to hide itself. Not only them, but the Celestial God realm was also here. After losing the war with the origin continent, the Celestial God realm had left its old region, traveled for countless years, and returned here. In that war, the will of the Celestial God realm was badly wounded and needed ages to recover. The Celestial God civilization was its homeland. Returning here to recuperate was only natural. Their goal was eternity. Once they recovered, they would surely strike again. Lin Moyu released countless undead servants to search for the Celestial God civilization. He found that his undead servants were in better condition than he was. They could use the physics great Tao from the myriad worlds to counteract the influence, and with their chaotic attributes, could still manipulate the local great Taos. Their combat power was reduced, but not by much. They were still within the Tao Lord level. A thorough search yielded nothing. Not even the usual photon detectors could be found.
"I feel like I'm being watched. I must be in the right place."
Even without photon detectors, the sense of being watched didn't disappear. Lin Moyu was certain the Celestial God civilization was here. Since he couldn't find it, Lin Moyu didn't bother analyzing what methods they used. With a thought, he sent out hundreds of billions of undead servants, each occupying a region 1,000,000 miles wide. The undead formed formations, occupying vast swathes of the void. Their power surged, dispersing the world mist and revealing a wide expanse of space.
"Begin."
At his command, the undead servants acted in unison, mobilizing the space great Tao to shatter the void. Each undead servant focused on their own patch, breaking the void into pieces, unleashing chaotic spatial currents. Such large-scale spatial collapse was rare. Lin Moyu searched for the Celestial God civilization amid the shattered space, but found nothing. Another 80 billion undead servants were sent out to a different region to try again. Still nothing. He tried several more regions, covering billions of miles, but still found nothing.
That can't be.
Lin Moyu didn't doubt his judgment. The karmic thread pointed here, unless An Yuyen had made a mistake. After thinking for a moment, Lin Moyu realized another possibility. The real-world space has more than one layer. The deepest layers can reach the origin ancestral land. He had only broken the surface layer if the celestial god civilization was hidden deeper. With this in mind, the undead servants acted again, this time targeting deeper layers of space. The great Tao surged, breaking through layer after layer of space.
Suddenly, un familiar aura émergé.
Lin Moyu smiled.
Found it.
Chapter 3897. The Tao forms threads. The aura of the extraterritorial celestial gods was all too familiar to Lin Moyu. Thousands upon thousands of these beings, strong and weak, including their divine pets, had died by his hand. He could sense their presence from a great distance. In the deep layers of space, the celestial god civilization had used technological means to carve out an independent space, placing their entire civilization and the celestial god realm within it. That was why no one could detect their existence. The undead servants cleared a path for Lin Moyu, creating a passageway for him to enter at his leisure. The aura of the physics great Tao grew stronger, its rules more intense. The moment he entered that layer of space, Lin Moyu saw another world. A single great Tao spanned the space, standing unshaken amid the raging spatial currents. This great Tao altered the surrounding rules. Spatial turbulence that would normally be ferocious became as gentle as sheep when striking the Tao.
So domineering, no wonder it can't enter the origin ancestral land. If this Tao were placed with others, it would forcibly change the rules of the surrounding Taos.
Lin Moyu had experience with this. In the myriad worlds, even the embryonic physics great Tao already occupied its own domain, staying far from other Taos. On top of this Tao, countless extraterritorial celestial gods were active. The celestial god civilization had fused its world with the physics great Tao. Beyond the Tao, there was another world, the celestial god realm. Outside the celestial god realm, a phantom appeared, their world will. Strangely, this world will was surrounded by all kinds of instruments, as if it was being treated for injuries. After being wounded, the celestial god realm had come here to recuperate, using technological power to help the world recover. Lin Moyu didn't understand how they did it, but they had managed. The world will of the celestial god realm was also different from a normally awakened world will. Lin Moyu's arrival immediately drew the attention of the celestial god civilization. A group of extraterritorial celestial gods with 10 pairs of wings flew out from the celestial god realm, standing in the spatial currents and staring hard at Lin Moyu. Their eyes were full of hostility, as if they'd met an enemy. All of them were Tao lords, their pressure immense, but compared to the undead servants, they still seemed a bit lacking. A beam of light shone in the void, and a 22-winged extraterritorial celestial god appeared, wearing a purple gold crown and regarding Lin Moyu coldly.
Cultivator from the origin continent, you actually chased us here. So they recognized me.
Lin Moyu wasn't surprised. Since they could sever karma, they naturally understood cause and effect. Whether it was through mastery of the cause and effect great Tao or through technological contact with causality weapons, they understood. Black Lin had also said the celestial god civilization possessed causality weapons, so it was no surprise they could recognize him. Lin Moyu smiled.
Yes, I'm surprised too. I didn't expect this to be your lair. 22-winged celestial god, you must be the leader. May I know your name?
The celestial god replied.
I am Lucifer. And you?
Lin Moyu smiled.
Lin Moyu of the human race. Well, now that we're acquainted, let's get to business. I'm here for one reason, to settle an old score. And I'm also interested in your technology and cultivation methods, so I'd like to study them.
He added.
Of course, I know you won't hand them over, so I'm not here to ask, I'm here to take. Once I kill you all, these things will naturally be mine. Of course, you can destroy the data before you die, but that doesn't matter. I can resurrect you, so suicide is useless.
Lin Moyu stated his intentions plainly, with no room for negotiation. He'd come to kill, not to bargain, so there was nothing more to say. After learning the relationship between the celestial god realm and the celestial god civilization, Lin Moyu had made up his mind to erase them from existence. Asking names was just to know who he was killing, nothing more. No longer interested in conversation, Lin Moyu waved his hand and sent the undead army charging forward. Even though there were more restrictions here and the undead servants were weakened, it was still within acceptable limits, and numbers could make up for it. As Lin Moyu moved, the extraterritorial celestial gods acted in unison. An invisible ripple spread, and the void echoed with incantations Lin Moyu couldn't understand, some kind of spell. The celestial gods with 20 wings quickly retreated, leaving space. Over 100 giant spheres, each 100 meters in diameter, suddenly appeared in the void, teleported directly in front of the undead army. Lin Moyu sensed something was wrong and immediately retreated. Boom! The spheres exploded, unleashing terrifying power that swept through the void. Countless undead servants were obliterated, reduced to dust. The force of these spheres was immense, even the undead servants couldn't withstand it. Layer after layer of space collapsed. This was deep space, separated from the surface by many layers. Huge holes appeared in the void, revealing the world mist of the surface layer. On the other side of the hole, Lin Moyu saw the origin ancestral land. This explosion had actually pierced through to the origin ancestral land and the real world. Of course, this was just a projection. The origin ancestral land exists between the real and virtual realms, influencing both. To enter the origin ancestral land, aside from great Tao lords, ordinary people can only enter through an entrance, which drifts through the world and only appears every tens of thousands of years. If you can reach the deepest layer of space and find the projection of the origin ancestral land, maybe you can enter without the entrance. Some have tried, but always fell just short. The explosion was immense, but faded quickly, and the spatial holes soon closed up. 100 sphere bombs had destroyed at least 1 million undead servants. But the next second, those undead servants reappeared from nothing, instantly revived. This resurrection ability was so unreasonable that even Lin Moyu, their master, found it unbelievable. The revived undead army charged forward again. The void was filled with turbulence, preventing the undead from using the space Great Tao to teleport. The same was true for the celestial gods. But the celestial god civilization could still teleport in some bombs. Another wave of spherical bombs appeared in the void, this time even more numerous, blowing apart both space and the undead army. Lin Moyu shook his head.
It's useless.
The undead servants could die, but would revive in an instant. Still, Lin Moyu was curious. How were the undead servants dying? Since when could an origin Tao lord die so easily? Observing the void, Lin Moyu gradually noticed something. The void was filled with countless fine threads, extremely tiny, almost invisible. Normally, passing through them was harmless, they seemed not to exist. But when a bomb exploded, the threads instantly solidified, becoming tangible, and surged like waves, instantly slicing the undead servants into powder. The undead weren't being blown up, they were being shredded by the threads. And the essence of these threads was a great Tao, the gold earth great Tao. Chapter 3898. It feels great to have no causality. Among the 5 elements great Tao's metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, the metal great Tao, also called sharp metal, is the sharpest. The earth great Tao, called thick earth, is the most solid. The 5 elements generate and restrain each other. When metal and earth combine, they form the gold earth great Tao, possessing both sharpness and toughness. The celestial god civilization stretched the great Tao into threads thousands of times thinner than a hair. When not activated, these Taos exist in a void state. Once activated, they become solid and razor-sharp, able to slice through Tao lords. However, this method is only suitable for defense, not offense. Otherwise, just this ability alone would let the celestial gods sweep the world.
Lecom world compressed Daos into warships. Celestial god civilization spun Daos into threads and wove them into webs. The ultimate limit of technology seems to always be dealing with the great Tao.
Lin Moyu muttered as the undead servants revived again and charged forward. They fear no death if they die, they revive. Even if truly destroyed, they'll just be reborn in the chaos region of the myriad worlds. It's nearly impossible to kill them for good. The celestial god civilization clearly hadn't encountered such enemies before and was a bit stunned. But technological civilizations have intelligent brains even if the people are stunned. The intellect is not. Seeing that the web of Daos couldn't stop the undead army, the intellect immediately devised a new tactic. The great Tao above shone brightly, illuminating the void, and countless hidden weapons appeared. Weapons were everywhere. This was the celestial god's home base, and as a ninth-level civilization, its defenses were the pinnacle of technological worlds. A massive barrage of weapons was unleashed, freezing the void. The undead army was instantly frozen in place, unable to move. The temperature of the entire space dropped to a terrifying low. Even Lin Moyu felt a bone-chilling cold, as if he might freeze to death. He suddenly recalled a technology from Black Mountain Civilization's data: spatial freezing. Freezing space isn't hard. What's hard is lowering the temperature to absolute zero. The physics Great Tao sets a minimum temperature when anything in the world, be it living beings, matter, or even Daos, reaches that temperature, it stops functioning and dies. This is the rule set by the physics Great Tao. Upon entering, all including Lin Moyu and his undead servants are subject to it. The celestial god civilization had perfected this technology, achieving true absolute zero. Lin Moyu didn't know the exact value of absolute zero, but he knew the undead servants were frozen, unable to escape. In the outside world, no matter how cold it got, the undead could ignore it. But under the physics Great Tao, this temperature was fatal. The undead died, unable to revive in place. Even if they did, they'd die again.
What a domineering Tao! This is probably more than just an origin Great Tao.
Lin Moyu thought. It's known that Daos have origin and branch levels, but Lin Moyu believed there was a level above origin like his immortality Great Tao. The physics Great Tao seemed to be at that level. Only Daos of the same tier could affect his immortality Tao. Looking at the physics Great Tao suspended in the void, Lin Moyu realized it represented a different set of rules, entirely unlike those of cultivation worlds. A thought arose in his mind.
I must obtain it.
He instinctively felt that acquiring this Tao would be immensely beneficial. He wanted to make the myriad worlds more diverse, and the physics Great Tao was an excellent choice. Although the myriad worlds already had an embryonic physics Great Tao, it would take countless years to strengthen it. If he could get the true body of the physics Great Tao, he could save endless time. With a wave, another 100 billion undead surged forth, splitting into 10 groups and attacking from all directions. Behind Lin Moyu, the phantom of the myriad worlds appeared. Without the suppression of the world mist, the myriad worlds could cover a vast area. A not very strong physics Great Tao shone brilliantly, causing a resonance with the distant physics Great Tao and changing the rules again. The frozen undead servants began to emit flames. The fire Great Tao enveloped them as they fought back against absolute zero. Lin Moyu had created an opportunity for them. Upon revival, the undead immediately resisted. By manipulating the physics Great Tao within the myriad worlds, he forcibly changed the rules, redefining the world around him. He might not understand technology, but he understood Daos. He was adept at playing with rules. Boom! A beam of light suddenly descended from above, like a waterfall crashing down on him. Lin Moyu grunted as his body exploded. In a blaze of purple light, Lin Moyu was reborn.
A causality weapon.
He had just died once under the attack of a causality weapon. If he hadn't had the rebirth ability, he'd be truly dead. The attack had detonated his own karma. He had a lot of karma, and it was deeply rooted in his soul, so the explosion was incredibly powerful. The detonation of karma ignored his spells. The damage wasn't shared by his Tao spirit. Since the causality attack came from his own soul, it made sense the damage wasn't shared. After being reborn, Lin Moyu felt completely refreshed. With no more karma, his soul felt light. Lin Moyu chuckled.
So this is what it feels like to have no karma, so refreshing. Thanks.
If it were anyone else, detonating their karma would leave them crippled, if not dead. For Lin Moyu, it was a blessing in disguise. He used to go to great lengths to sever karma. If he'd known this, he could have just found someone with the cause and effect great Tao to detonate it for him. There are no such people in the origin continent, but there must be some in the Jinmu Great Spirit domain, or he could always find in Yuyan. Lin Moyu grinned.
Courtesy demands reciprocity. I have a little something for you in return.
With a wave, world-burning fire shot out, streaking through the void toward the celestial god realm. At the same time, Bone Hell turned into a crimson cloud and flew out, while several elemental liches appeared on Lin Moyu's shoulder. The Space Tao Lich waved its little hand and called out,
Gate of space, open!
forcibly activating teleportation in deep space. With the true body of the Space Great Tao, even the Physics Great Tao couldn't fully suppress it. 2 space gates opened, helping world-burning fire and Bone Hell jump through space and descend directly. World-burning fire exploded outside the celestial god realm, rapidly spreading. The world will of the celestial god realm roared in fury, slapping at the flames. The fire only burned brighter. After refining several worlds, world-burning fire had grown much stronger. It could now forcibly refine worlds. The world will was clearly not fully recovered, roaring and slapping repeatedly, but only slowing the fire, not stopping it. The strongest celestial gods rushed to help, but to little effect. World-burning fire quickly spread inside the world, with countless people screaming as they fled. Bone Hell descended on the Physics Great Tao, the very foundation of the celestial god civilization, into which they had fused their world. But Bone Hell didn't care. It expanded to its maximum range, fighting everything in sight. A sea of robots surged out of the celestial god civilization, wielding warblades to fight Bone Hell's wraiths. Each wraith had near Tao Lord strength and was utterly fearless. The undead army drew ever closer to the celestial god civilization. In the void, red lights flashed as gigantic statues awakened one after another. Chapter 3899. The Great Battle. Watching the awakened statues, Lin Moyu realized they had been hidden in the void by the celestial god civilization using technological means. Even he hadn't noticed them before. Technology truly could accomplish some miraculous feats, but ultimately, this path had an end. It could not reach eternity. These statues were like miniature, replicated versions of world wills, but without the power of a world to drive them. The celestial god civilization had embedded great Taos within them to provide energy. 1,000 statues revived, wielding various weapons, and clashed fiercely with the undead servants. Their weapons were also forged from a combination of great Taos and technology, making them extremely powerful. Every strike could shatter the void and destroy Taos. Although there were only 1,000 statues, they managed to withstand the direct assault of nearly 10,000 times their number in undead. The combat strength these statues displayed far surpassed that of ordinary origin Tao lords, rivaling some of the top world lords. Lin Moyu categorized Tao lords into 4 tiers. The weakest are ordinary Tao lords, whether branch or origin Tao lords. These are projection Tao lords, the most common type. The second tier is world lords, who control the power of a world combined with their own Tao, greatly increasing their strength. Among world lords, there are strong and weak like Woodkill World Lord, who is among the strongest, far surpassing ordinary world lords. The third tier is great Tao lords, who fully control the true body of a great Tao and can enter the origin ancestral land at will, wielding immense power. The fourth tier is the likes of an Yuyan, also called Eternal, who have reached the absolute pinnacle of Tao lords. Lin Moyu was still far from this level. Even with 1 trillion undead servants, before such beings, they were like ants. Lin Moyu understood this well, as did an Yuyan. So when she learned Lin Moyu had been chosen as the vessel for the Lord of Curses, she could only wish him luck. The 1,000 statues unleashed top world lord level power, facing the endless undead army without fear. By combining technology and great Taos, and leveraging the powerful restrictions of the Physics Great Tao, they withstood attacks from forces billions of times their own size. They demonstrated to Lin Moyu that the gap in realms is not easily bridged by numbers alone, not impossible, but extremely difficult. To achieve a qualitative change through quantity would require astronomical numbers. Taking this opportunity, Lin Moyu carefully observed the statues. They were incredibly strong. If he could understand their workings, it might benefit him greatly. The Celestial God civilization was a top-tier technological civilization, but later split off the Celestial God realm, embarking on a path combining technology and cultivation. After a while, Lin Moyu realized his knowledge of technology was too limited to fully understand what he was seeing. Still, he deduced some information.
During the origin cataclysm, if the celestial god realm had possessed such statues, even one would have guaranteed the origin continent's defeat. So why didn't they use them? Was it because they couldn't?
Lin Moyu quickly found the answer. It wasn't that they didn't want to, but that they truly couldn't. The statue's immense power stemmed from the physics Great Tao. The physics Great Tao set the rules of this region. Under its influence, technology could exert enormous power, even suppressing other Taos. That's why technological civilizations could manipulate Taos, compressing them into warships, spinning them into threads and webs. But these techniques only worked at home. Outside the range of the physics Great Tao, they were useless. This explained why the many technological worlds, seemingly strong, could only cower within this region. Perhaps the worlds in the Tianyu Great Spirit domain were a bit better. They were less affected by the physics Great Tao and retained cultivation systems. But even then, once outside the physics Great Tao's influence, the power of technology dropped sharply, and against other strong worlds, they were easy prey. Lin Moyu understood this and considered how to introduce such technology into his own myriad worlds. If he could create similar weapons combining technology and Taos. With the myriad world's influence on its surroundings, he would be even more confident facing the world will of the origin continent. For now, he needed help, but if he could handle it himself, that would be ideal. His heart burned with desire to claim the celestial god civilization's technology for himself. He didn't need to learn it personally, he could train others. The myriad worlds had countless beings. There would always be a way. Lin Moyu also began to form deeper, bolder ideas for the myriad worlds, a brand new path unique to him. He whispered to the space Tao Lich beside him.
Go search the Tao for their technical data.
Lin Moyu shaped a crystal in his hand. Perhaps the celestial god civilization stored some of their technology in such crystals. The space Tao Lich, small and adept at hiding in space, instantly teleported to the Tao. On the Tao, the celestial god civilization's territory was densely packed with buildings, many of them inverted triangles and visually similar, making searching difficult. But Lin Moyu trusted the little one. The space Tao Lich quickly explored the area through spatial sensing, instantly grasping the layout. Buildings meant nothing to it. It flitted through the celestial god civilization's world like a ghost, searching at incredible speed. Lin Moyu didn't worry about it. He believed the little one would succeed. With a snap of his fingers, another 100 billion undead servants charged forth, splitting up to attack both the celestial god civilization and the celestial god realm. While numbers can't easily compensate for a gap in strength, Lin Moyu enjoyed using quantity to trigger qualitative change. His strategy was simple. Even if not a match, surround and tie up the enemy, making it impossible for them to break free. That's the advantage of numbers. Unless you can instantly kill billions of undead, you'll be pinned down. He'd used this approach many times before. It was as natural as eating or drinking, requiring no thought.
Let's see if you have any other tricks to stop me.
Meanwhile, things looked grim for the celestial god realm. No matter what they tried, they couldn't extinguish the world-burning fire, only delay it. The world will of the celestial god realm howled in agony. It felt no pain, but still sensed suffering. On the Great Tao, things were slightly better, but it too was being gradually devoured. The celestial god civilization finally acted again. A multicolored shield appeared outside the Tao, enveloping the entire Great Tao. At the same time, countless humanoid battle machines swarmed out to attack the undead servants. These machines weren't strong only at the Great Tao realm and were no match for the undead. But when destroyed, they self-destructed, and their explosions were powerful enough to scatter many undead. The web of Taos in the void was reactivated, slicing the undead servants to pieces. Chapter 3900, War of Attrition. The undead servants kept reviving and continued their assault. Each attack was like a map-wide bombardment, covering vast areas and preventing the humanoid battle machines from getting close. The undead servants' tactics were flexible and ever-changing, constantly adapting to the battlefield and making optimal choices. They could also share information and coordinate with each other, achieving extremely high efficiency. Since the humanoid battle machines would self-destruct, the undead simply pulled back, staying out of the explosion range. Suddenly, the humanoid battle machines sprouted wings of fire, which tore open rifts in space. They dove into the void, appearing among the undead as if teleporting, and detonated right in their midst. The undead, having just adjusted their tactics, were caught off guard again, suffering heavy casualties. The intelligent brain controlling the battle machines adapted even faster than the undead, and was more decisive. The undead seemed enraged and quickly spread out, putting great distance between each other. This way, the explosions of the battle machines could only affect a small number of them. Relying on their numbers, the undead resumed a war of attrition with the battle machines. Within the physics Great Tao, more waves of humanoid battle machines surged forth. Lin Moyu saw countless factories operating within the physics Great Tao, churning out battle machines like dumplings and sending them straight to the battlefield. There were so many of these factories that every second, a huge number of new battle machines were produced.
Where do they get so many materials?
Lin Moyu wondered. Manufacturing battle machines was like refining magic treasures. It required corresponding materials. He didn't believe the celestial god civilization had endless resources. In any case, he could keep summoning more undead servants, so he wasn't afraid of a war of attrition. With a thought, another 100 billion undead servants charged out.
If you can build them fast, I'll put on the pressure. Let's see how fast you really are.
Lin Moyu felt like he was whipping the celestial god civilization, all while shouting encouragement. From start to finish, Lin Moyu treated this battle as a game. He'd already compared his strength to the celestial god realm and found he had the advantage even with the celestial god civilization added in. As long as no eternal level being appeared, he could keep fighting. He might not be able to defeat the statue warriors directly, but he could hold them off until he finished refining the celestial god realm, dealt with the celestial god civilization, and maybe even took the physics Great Tao. Without the physics Great Tao, the statue warriors would collapse on their own. After the undead spread out, the threat from the humanoid battle machines dropped sharply. At that moment, countless spires rose from within the Great Tao. Beneath each spire was an altar, and under the altar, the celestial god race's signature inverted triangle houses. The houses lit up, the altars grew brighter, and after a few seconds, the spires shone as well. Bolts of lightning burst from the spires, blasting the void and striking the undead servants with immense force, reducing them to dust.
This isn't ordinary lightning.
Lin Moyu observed, squinting at the flickering arcs. The lightning was just the surface. The real attack was the blades hidden within. What looked like a lightning strike was actually countless blades, far thinner than a hair, slicing the undead apart. Lin Moyu realized these blades were refined from the Great Tao and enhanced by technology. They were semi-transparent, wrapped in lightning, and thus extremely hard to spot. Once again, the celestial god civilization's methods exceeded Lin Moyu's expectations. For the first time, he felt on the back foot against a peak technological world. The celestial god civilization was like a giant hedgehog bristling with defenses and hard to attack. So far, the world-burning fire was the most effective, but even its progress was slow. At this rate, it would take years to refine the celestial god realm. And he suspected he hadn't even seen all their tricks yet after countless years at the pinnacle of technology. They must have more hidden away. As he pondered, a light flashed overhead. Lin Moyu's expression changed, but the sword Dao Lich reacted even faster, transforming into a sword and slashing upward. A beam of light shot down, ignoring the sword Dao Lich's attack and striking Lin Moyu directly, blowing him apart. He revived instantly.
A causality weapon.
He muttered. This was the second time he'd been killed by a causality weapon. When such a weapon targeted him, it was guaranteed to hit. There was no way to dodge, no way to block. Not even the sword Dao Lich could cut off the causality. He could only take the hit. Luckily, he could revive. But every effect has a cause. If attacking him is the effect, what is the cause? For someone of his strength, setting him as the target must require a hefty price. He looked toward the physics great Tao, where a section of the celestial god civilization's world suddenly exploded. There were countless statues there, each shaped like a 24-winged celestial god. There were more than 100,000 such statues. One of them exploded, shaking the void, but the power wasn't that great. The surrounding statues were unaffected. Outside the statues stood a giant structure resembling a cannon, aimed right at him. With just one glance, Lin Moyu knew it was a causality weapon. And those statues were the price. The celestial god civilization had developed causality weapons, so they knew the price for using them. They created their own price. Every time they attacked him, one statue would shatter. By this logic, they could attack him 100,000 times, kill him 100,000 times. Lin Moyu felt a headache coming on. The celestial god civilization was truly tough to deal with. He studied the causality weapon and the statues, gradually figuring out some details.
Causality weapons are powerful, but not easy to use. Besides the causality cost, they require immense energy, and after each use, need time to recharge. They also have to establish a causality link with the statues, so their attack frequency can't be too high.
In the end, it was a war of attrition not just for the undead army, but for himself as well. But this couldn't go on forever. Who knew how much the celestial god civilization had in reserve, or how long they could keep it up? Lin Moyu pondered his next move as another 100 billion undead servants charged out. By now, he'd sent out 400 billion undead servants, yet still hadn't broken through the enemy's defenses or even touched their shield. The battle was progressing at a snail's pace. As he thought, the light above flashed again. This time, the Blood Dao Lich intervened, sending a crimson wave to meet the attack. But the attack passed through as if it were nothing and struck Lin Moyu again. He was killed by the causality weapon once more, only to revive in a flash of purple light. Whenever the causality weapon was activated, it hit its target without fail. There was no way to dodge or block it. Killed again and again, reviving again and again, Lin Moyu's eyes suddenly lit up as he discovered something.
Here, it seems there's no limit to how many undead I can have.
Chapter 3901. Stalemate. Several elemental liches took action in succession, but there were no heavenly phenomena or punishments. Lin Moyu had the Sword Dao Lich strike with half its strength. The sword light slashed through the void and struck the shield, bursting with dazzling brilliance. The world remained unchanged. The Sword Dao Lich increased its power to 70%, still with no consequences. This confirmed that this region was indeed different. There would be no heavenly punishment here. Elemental liches can't use their full strength because doing so would disrupt the balance. If they don't exert full power, or only target beings below the Dao Lord level, the heavens won't punish them.
But where the physics great Tao exists, it restricts the heavens, and these technological creations, though as strong as Tao Lords, aren't true Tao Lords. They're just machines with Tao Lord level power. Not just them, the entire celestial god civilization is like this. They aren't recognized as true Tao Lords by the world. So against them, the elemental liches don't need to hold back.
His intent instantly reached the 4 elemental liches. The elemental liches cheered. The Sword Dao Lich, the most impatient, transformed into a sharp sword, teleported across the void, and slashed through the battlefield, landing heavily on the celestial god civilization's shield. The shield boomed and vibrated, radiating streams of light. Countless instruments inside the celestial god civilization worked to support the shield, forcibly withstanding the Sword Dao Lich's assault. But this was just the beginning. The sword light erupted, and the Sword Dao Lich's body became a rain of swords, bombarding the shield. The Blood Dao Lich raised a crimson wave, polluting the shield and weakening its power. The True Fire Lich waved its little hand.
Fire, rise!
Although the celestial god civilization's people aren't recognized by the heavens, they were born and raised in this world, and their true spirits exist within it. The True Fire Lich burns true spirits, a deadly weapon against them, especially since their cultivation is weak, so they die even faster. The shield couldn't withstand the true fire lich's flames. Screams rang out as large numbers of celestial god people died. The true fire lich only burned the celestial god civilization's people, not those in the celestial god realm. There were Tao lords there, and she didn't dare provoke them. The space Tao lich also erupted, no longer hiding itself, shouting loudly.
Space sever.
In an instant, space within the celestial god civilization's world shattered, countless buildings reduced to dust. The space Tao lich rampaged through their world, and the four elemental liches coordinated seamlessly. After devastating a large area, the space Tao lich teleported directly in front of the causality weapon. Just as it was about to strike, space suddenly turned viscous. The space Tao lich managed one attack before instantly teleporting away. The causality weapon burst with dazzling light. As the celestial god civilization's most important weapon, it was heavily defended. The space Tao lich's attack broke its defense, tearing a huge hole, but failed to destroy it. The celestial god civilization used a space weapon to turn the area into a swamp, restricting the space Tao lich's teleportation. If not for its quick reaction, it might have been trapped. A swarm of robots flew over to repair the causality weapon. By making space sticky, the celestial god civilization prevented both sides from teleporting, forcing a direct confrontation. Lin Moyu knew this was a desperate move. They hadn't anticipated the space Tao lich could invade their home and nearly destroy their causality weapon. The space Tao lich returned to Lin Moyu, proudly presenting over 100 crystals.
Master, look what I found.
Lin Moyu patted its little head.
Well done. Keep going, try to break that shield.
The space Tao lich agreed and charged back in, but with space affected, its power was weakened, making it less effective than the other elemental liches. The true fire lich said,
Master, they're hiding, I can't burn them.
Earlier, the true fire lich had burned a group of celestial god people, but they quickly hid, making it impossible to target them. The peak of technological civilization truly had all sorts of tricks, making even Lin Moyu feel challenged. Lin Moyu said,
Go deal with the celestial god realm, just burn those below the Tao level.
The true fire lich nodded and attacked. Invisible true fire ignited, and the extraterritorial celestial gods screamed in agony. Once invincible and nearly impossible to kill on the origin continent, they were now utterly helpless before the true fire lich. Many extraterritorial celestial gods fled, escaping from the celestial god realm and racing toward the celestial god civilization's core. Normally, the celestial god civilization could use space technology to help them escape, but now, with space lockdown, they could only fly. Countless bodies littered the void. Casualties were immense. Suddenly, space returned to normal. To save their people, the celestial god civilization had to lift the lockdown. As soon as they did, they used space technology to teleport their people away. A wave of humanoid battle machines teleported into the undead army, self-destructing and causing massive casualties. But the undead instantly revived, rendering the self-destruction pointless. Another group of battle machines teleported near the space Tao lich to self-destruct, not to kill it, but to pin it down and prevent it from infiltrating their base. The space Tao lich formed a spatial defense, entered an independent space, and blocked the explosions. The celestial god civilization's tactic worked. The space around the space Tao lich became extremely chaotic, successfully pinning it down and keeping it out of their core. The battle returned to a stalemate, both sides evenly matched, unable to break the deadlock. Lin Moyu frowned. The celestial god civilization was producing battle machines at an astonishing rate, over 100,000 per second. The material consumption was staggering, but they didn't seem to care. Although a war of attrition favored him, Lin Moyu still wanted to end things quickly to avoid unforeseen complications.
Let's take out the celestial god realm first.
He dispatched another 100 billion undead servants, bringing the total on the battlefield to 500 billion, half his summoning capacity. All of them charged the celestial god realm, determined to destroy it. With the stalemate dragging on, Lin Moyu decided to cut off one arm, first destroy the celestial god realm, then focus on the celestial god civilization. He was ready for a prolonged fight, but would still act ruthlessly to save time. The celestial god civilization saw through his plan and teleported a massive wave of battle machines to intercept the undead, working with the Tao web to block them. The undead, now experienced, quickly dispersed to minimize losses. Some were stopped, but half reached the edge of the celestial god realm. The world will of the celestial god realm swung its giant hand, sweeping away huge numbers of undead. Wings sprouted from its back, formed from the world's Taos, slashing like weapons. The undead didn't care. As they closed in, they self-destructed. Lin Moyu sneered.
Self-destruction? I can do that too.
Chapter 3902. The Will of the Great Tao. The self-destruction of the undead servants unleashed a force 10 times stronger than their most powerful attack, shaking the void. The world will was blasted into chaos, its wings sprouting from its back blown off. Lin Moyu wore a cold smile. It wasn't that he couldn't use self-destruction, he just hadn't wanted to. When an undead servant self-destructs, it loses the chance to revive. Otherwise, even after dying 10 times, it could return in the Chaos region and never truly die. Now, with self-destruction, they were truly gone and would have to be resummoned. Lin Moyu didn't want a drawn-out war of attrition, so he chose to have the undead self-destruct. Seeing the effect, he decided to add more fuel to the fire. Origin spell. Strengthen troops. Finally using an origin-level spell, a strange aura spread out, causing the undead servant's combat power to soar. Boom! A terrifying wave of self-destruction began. With the origin spell's boost, the undead's explosions became even more devastating. The world will of the celestial god realm was left in a miserable state. Even the powerful extraterritorial celestial gods couldn't approach the self-destruction zone. Getting close meant certain death. The undead servants lined up, continuously self-destructing to attack the world will. This tactic was strikingly similar to the celestial god civilization's use of humanoid battle machines. The world will twisted under the onslaught, nearly collapsing. The world-burning fire took the opportunity to burn even fiercer, drastically shortening the time needed for refinement. The celestial god civilization finally panicked. The celestial god realm was a world they had painstakingly evolved. They couldn't just watch it be destroyed. The physics great Tao rumbled, and the entire celestial god civilization's world began to shine. Lin Moyu heard murmurs, as if countless beings were praying and chanting. Indeed, if he could see through, he'd witness celestial gods and their divine pets prostrating themselves in devout prayer. Within these voices, Lin Moyu sensed a surge of faith power. He himself possessed immense faith power, so he couldn't be mistaken.
Faith power the celestial god civilization is praying. But what are they praying for?
He was certain the celestial god civilization wouldn't waste effort. If they were all praying, something significant was happening. As the faith power soared, beams of intense light shot from the celestial god civilization toward the celestial god realm. Any undead servant struck by the beams was instantly frozen and shattered. Another weapon hidden within the celestial god civilization revealed itself. The beams lingered in the void, forming walls of ice that not only froze everything, but also blocked the undead's advance, giving the world will a breather. Undead servants reached the ice wall and self-destructed. The massive force cracked the wall, but it instantly repaired itself. The sword Dao Lich charged in, transforming into a blade and slashing at the ice wall. In a flash, millions of sword strikes shattered the wall. Working with the undead, the sword Dao Lich dismantled the ice wall in less than a minute. The celestial god civilization fired again, but the space Dao Lich split open a spatial rift, diverting the attacks elsewhere. The undead servants once more reached the world will and self-destructed. The celestial god civilization's tactics only bought a minute. The prayers grew louder, echoing through the void, as the physics great Tao shone brightly. An immense pressure filled the air. In an instant, the void froze space, time, everything except thought seemed to halt. A terrifying giant appeared above the physics great Tao.
The will of the great Tao.
Lin Moyu was shaken for the first time. The physics great Tao had actually manifested a will. He quickly realized something was off. The great Tao itself had no will. Instead, the celestial god civilization had manipulated the Tao. After countless years, they had fused the will of all living beings into the Tao, using it as a shell to evolve a Tao will. Lin Moyu's expression grew grave.
I didn't expect this. It's not true eternity, but in this region, it can unleash eternal level power. This must be their strongest trump card, and the cost must be high. They wouldn't use it lightly.
If there were no cost, they'd have used it from the start. Still, this showed Lin Moyu the potential of faith power. If they could do it, so could he. The myriad worlds had even more living beings than the celestial god civilization. If he could gather the faith of all beings and fuse it into a Tao, he could also evolve a Tao will. But he'd have to pick the right Tao. For now, the myriad worlds weren't suitable. There were many Taos, but each being comprehended their own, and their faith was scattered. Only by focusing the faith of countless beings on a single Tao could a Tao will be formed.
I want to create a multiverse. I must obtain this physics great Tao.
Lin Moyu's resolve only grew stronger. The myriad worlds appeared, using its world power to resist the Tao will. The immobilized undead army regained its mobility and resumed self-destructing attacks. The Tao will was a double-edged sword. When it appeared, even the world wills of the origin continent became sluggish. At this moment, as the undead servants charged, the Tao will couldn't react in time. Explosions rang out as the undead continued to self-destruct. The celestial god civilization must have been surprised that Lin Moyu could still move. The Tao will swung its giant hand. With just that motion, the entire void seemed to shatter.
Rule, slow speed.
A majestic voice rang out, and the undead servant's speed instantly dropped. The physics Tao will redefine the rules of this space, and the undead were restricted. Even with the myriad worlds supporting them, they could only barely keep moving.
Rule, self-destruction radius reduced by 1,000 times.
With another command, a new rule took effect. The rules were so specific even down to the area of a self-destruction. Lin Moyu realized this was entirely aimed at restraining the undead.
I get it now. Rules can't be set arbitrarily. The broader the rule, the higher the cost, possibly to an unbearable degree.
Nothing escapes balance. Even the great Tao must maintain iron laws. To gain, one must pay. The Tao will formed ahead, with a single eye that locked onto Lin Moyu.
Die.
With that one word, Lin Moyu exploded on the spot, without sensing anything. In the next instant, he revived in a flash of purple light. The Tao will's attack was bizarre, just a word, and Lin Moyu died instantly, without any resistance.
Tao will is so powerful. It seems those great Tao lords are the same. Compared to them, I'm still too weak.
But Lin Moyu didn't panic. With a thought, red light surged from his body and bone hell was recalled. Seeing Lin Moyu revive again, the Tao will looked over and said,
Die.
Again, red light flashed, bone hell shattered, and Lin Moyu died once more, exactly as before, with no chance to resist. Revived again in purple light, Lin Moyu was not at all flustered. In fact, he smiled. An empty soul crystal appeared in his hand.
Die, corpse explosion.
Chapter 3903. Victory. The auto-locking ability of Bone Hell was still as effective as ever. Using Bone Hell's power, Lin Moyu easily locked onto the Tao will. Normally, the Tao will does not have a physical form. It is a construct of Tao power and is extremely difficult to target. But this Tao will before him seemed different. Lin Moyu had never seen a Tao will before, but based on his experience and understanding of world wills, he could deduce some things. From his understanding, it's not impossible for a Tao to develop its own will, but it's extremely difficult, and the heavens may not even permit it. If a Tao ever does develop will, it is bound to be an eternal existence, incomparably powerful. Furthermore, a Tao will should not have a physical form. It is a convergence of Tao power, almost without weaknesses. But the Tao will before him was born from the faith power of all beings in the celestial god civilization. Since that's the case, there must be a core that carries this faith power. This core is the fatal weakness of the Tao will, and it must be hidden extremely deep. For ordinary people, whether or not this weakness exists makes no difference. But for Lin Moyu, it was something he could exploit. What Bone Hell locked onto was precisely this core, the only part of the Tao will that could be targeted. The empty soul crystal turned to powder and vanished. The spell succeeded. The Tao will suddenly froze, and then a terrifying explosion swept through the entire Tao. The detonation of the empty soul crystal was enough to injure even an Eternal. For this fake Tao will, it was a sure kill. The Tao will let out an unwilling, miserable scream as its form was obliterated by the blast. This scream came from the countless beings of the celestial god civilization. The faith power they had gathered was destroyed in the explosion. Countless celestial god people died from faith backlash. Lin Moyu saw innumerable souls annihilated, and deathly stillness fell over the celestial god civilization. The explosion swept through the Tao, rebounding on the celestial god civilization. Countless buildings collapsed, countless weapons were destroyed. The once mighty shield dimmed and then vanished, destroyed in the blast. The celestial god civilization was devastated, nearly shattered. All the rules they had set vanished instantly. The undead servants seized the opportunity and stormed into the celestial god civilization. The space Tao Lich exerted its full power, opening space channels and sending the undead inside. The undead rampaged through the celestial god civilization's world, turning it into a wasteland. At this moment, the power of a Tao Lord was unleashed without restraint, destroying one small world after another. Even the celestial god civilization couldn't hold out for long. Against the celestial god realm, the undead servants resumed their self-destruction tactics. The world will, which had just caught its breath, was once again blasted full of holes.
The outcome is decided.
Lin Moyu muttered to himself, but he didn't let his guard down. After all, the celestial god civilization was the pinnacle of technological civilizations who knew what tricks they might still have left. Just as this thought arose, a flood of intense light appeared within the celestial god civilization, with devices emerging from underground. With a soft sound, these devices fired countless beams that sliced through space and the undead servants alike.
As expected, they still have tricks, but it's useless.
After reviving, the undead continued their destruction, smashing these devices to pieces. Boom! Violent explosions erupted throughout the celestial god civilization's world. Under the invisible shockwaves, the undead servants died again and again, only to revive once more. The physics Great Tao restricted the undead greatly, making them quite fragile, but their endless revival made them like undying cockroaches. Faced with enemies that could revive endlessly, the celestial god civilization's conventional methods were powerless. Billions of undead armies surged into the celestial god civilization. True catastrophe had arrived. Despair engulfed the celestial god civilization, and the world will of the celestial god realm was also nearing its end, its will collapsing and becoming formless.
Let's do this.
The 24-winged extraterritorial celestial god, after long silence, finally erupted with a roar and a resolve to die, charging at Lin Moyu. At the same time, a gigantic statue floated up from the celestial god civilization, transforming into a 26-winged extraterritorial celestial god and attacking Lin Moyu as well. The 26-winged statue seemed to surpass the Tao Lord level, but it was still a bit short of that realm. And it couldn't last long. If it could, the celestial god civilization wouldn't have waited until now to use it. Lin Moyu shook his head slightly.
It's useless.
The sword Tao Lich transformed into a Tao sword, unleashing a fierce sword light. The statue blocked in front, using its body as a shield. Radiant light flashed on its body, and the sword light left many wounds, but failed to destroy it. The space Tao Lich shouted.
Space lock.
Space was sealed, and their speed slowed drastically. What was once a 1-minute distance now became 10 or 100 times longer. The space Tao Lich controlled space, preventing them from closing in. The statue's wings vibrated, and intense radiance slashed through space, forcibly tearing it apart. Lin Moyu waved his hand, sending out endless undead servants to form battle formations as meat shields, while he slowly retreated, widening the distance. Lin Moyu's undead seemed inexhaustible, driving his enemies to despair. No matter how hard they fought, they could never reach Lin Moyu. Aside from causality weapons, nothing could harm him. But even if they did, so what? No matter how many times they killed him, Lin Moyu could revive. Their last resistance was destined to be futile. The world will of the celestial god realm finally collapsed, returning to a void state. Without the world will, the celestial god realm's end was near. The world-burning fire's refining accelerated, and in less than half a month, the celestial god realm would be completely refined. Under the rampage of billions of undead servants, the celestial god civilization's world was nearly destroyed. Their world was deeply fused with the physics great Tao, and some places were so intertwined that cleaning them up would take time. Through the undead servants' eyes, Lin Moyu saw countless corpses of celestial god people. Most of these corpses remained seated, having been killed by faith backlash.
The price was truly steep.
Lin Moyu murmured. In destroying the Tao will, at least half the celestial god people died a price far too great for what they gained. The resistance of the celestial god people grew weaker and weaker, and even the last sparks of resistance were quickly snuffed out. The outcome was already decided. Now it was just a matter of time. The undead servants reached the causality weapon and destroyed it, eliminating the last threat capable of harming Lin Moyu. With the causality weapon gone, the statues used as the price for its use all collapsed together. Not a single one left. The slaughter lasted several days, until the celestial god civilization was completely razed to the ground. In the void, the 1,000-statue warriors that had been locked in stalemate with the undead army stopped functioning the moment the intelligent brain was destroyed. The 26-winged statue, surrounded by the undead army, fought for days until its energy was exhausted and it finally ceased moving. The 24-winged extraterritorial celestial god was the strongest of them all, even stronger than the undead servants. In the end, the undead sent him off with a self-destruction. The battle was completely won. The celestial god civilization and the celestial god race had been wiped out. Lin Moyu felt a weight lift from his heart. With a wave of his hand, he issued a great command. Soon after, countless undead servants brought over the corpses of the celestial god people. Lin Moyu waved his hand, and a surge of undying fire erupted.
Infinite summon.
Chapter 3904. The Void Beyond the Myriad Worlds. Within the undying fire, the deceased celestial god people began to revive. Among them were cultivators and celestial god scientists alike. Lin Moyu didn't bother to distinguish between them. It didn't matter. Over 10 million revived celestial god people prostrated themselves before him. Lin Moyu asked,
Among you, who has the deepest knowledge of technology? Stand up.
As soon as he finished speaking, several people stood up. Lin Moyu had them introduce themselves. They spoke in technical jargon that Lin Moyu didn't understand but sounded impressive nonetheless. In short, they were all top scientists in their respective fields. At the pinnacle of technology, there are countless specialized domains. These fields are independent yet all fall under the physics great Tao, requiring collaboration to create all kinds of top-tier weapons. After some questioning, Lin Moyu confirmed that all the leading scientists of the celestial god race were present just as he wanted. Next, Lin Moyu instructed them to search the ruins of the celestial god civilization for any remaining usable data. Having the celestial god people look for data themselves was far more efficient than sending undead servants. Now came the real task. Lin Moyu needed to research how to extract the physics great Tao. He wanted to bring the physics great Tao into the myriad worlds and had several ideas, though he wasn't sure if any would work. Before that, he needed to make some changes to the myriad worlds. The myriad worlds was still primarily a cultivation world. Though it contained many Taos, none were particularly strong. The physics great Tao it currently possessed was only in embryonic form and didn't significantly affect the other Taos. So Lin Moyu could simply place it in an isolated region. But if the true body of the physics great Tao entered the myriad worlds, things would change. The other Taos would be suppressed, possibly hindering their development. The myriad worlds might not grow stronger, but weaker. After careful thought, Lin Moyu came up with a new vision for the myriad worlds. If space can be manifold, why not the myriad worlds? He could create a duplicate of the myriad worlds, identical in structure but with different internal rules. One myriad worlds would focus on cultivation, another on technology, and perhaps even a third combining both paths. He even had a name in mind, the multiverse. Within a multiverse, he could create different myriad worlds with different rules in different regions. The challenge was how to keep these worlds separate and ensure they didn't interfere with each other. Lin Moyu pondered but couldn't immediately find a solution. Looking at the massive world tree, he thought of the chaos seedling absorbing power in the chaotic world.
Little tree, can you contact the chaos seedling?
Little tree appeared before him.
Sure, that guy is right on my leg.
Lin Moyu said,
Ask it for me, I want to duplicate a new world.
He explained his idea in detail to Little Tree, who replied right away.
No need to ask it, I can do it myself.
Lin Moyu was surprised.
How?
Little Tree tilted his head and frowned for a long while.
I remember I can do it, but why can't I recall how? This is strange, I clearly know the answer.
His little face scrunched up as he tried hard to remember, but couldn't figure it out. Lin Moyu realized this was a memory Little Tree hadn't recovered yet, maybe after fully maturing. He really could do it, but not now.
Don't think about it, just ask the chaos seedling.
Lin Moyu interrupted, worried Little Tree would get stuck in a mental loop. Little Tree agreed and relayed Lin Moyu's request to the chaos seedling. A moment later, the chaos seedling's voice came from Little Tree's mouth.
Master, you're so silly. Just wrap the myriad worlds in chaotic energy.
Lin Moyu was taken aback.
That simple?
The chaos seedling, through Little Tree, replied.
That simple.
Lin Moyu continued.
I want to bring that great Tao into the myriad worlds. Any good ideas?
The chaos seedling said.
Little Tree should be able to do it.
Little Tree resumed speaking.
Master, I can try, but I can't guarantee success.
Lin Moyu nodded.
Give it a try. Before that, I'll duplicate a world.
Duplicating a world isn't easy. Lin Moyu had to open up a new space outside the myriad worlds to house the new world. Billions of undead servants formed a circle in the void, creating a protective barrier. Lin Moyu's soul descended into the myriad worlds, greeted by an indescribable sense of belonging. The entire world, all its Daos, welcomed him. It was the world calling to its master. With a step, Lin Moyu reached the world's edge, pulled open a rift, and flew out. Outside the myriad worlds was a void, nothing at all. This was his first time leaving the myriad worlds. He wasn't in the soul void, but another unfamiliar realm, the world in which the myriad worlds existed. This realm felt like a swamp. Lin Moyu found it hard to move, and a powerful sense of loneliness swept over him, his strength ebbing away like the tide. Having left his home realm, he was neither in the real world nor the soul void, and had also left the myriad worlds. Lin Moyu felt unanchored, as if he could get lost at any moment. If he did, everything he'd worked for would be lost. A nameless fear and loneliness assaulted his soul, testing his Tao heart. His first instinct was to return to the myriad worlds. The gate was just 3 steps away. But Lin Moyu didn't move, suppressing his inner fear and loneliness, confronting them with his Tao heart. Time passed, and Lin Moyu remained motionless. After a while, his lips curled into a charming smile. Surrounded by fear and loneliness, he didn't retreat. Instead, he used them to temper his Tao heart. His Tao heart grew stronger and sharper, shattering fear and loneliness, and the void before him brightened. With fear gone, even loneliness became a kind of enjoyment. Lin Moyu reached out and drew forth the mighty power of the myriad worlds. All the strength he'd lost returned in an instant. He pulled out chaotic energy from the myriad worlds, which enveloped him, forming a link between himself and the myriad worlds. As long as the chaotic energy remained, he wouldn't get lost. Lin Moyu pressed forward, slowly advancing through the swamp, and found a spot beside the myriad worlds.
Yin-Yang origin, create.
With a thought, He drew on the yin-yang origin within the myriad worlds, gathering streams of power. Light appeared in the void. Chapter 3905. Creating a New World. At the dawn of the world, at the origin of all things, there is the yin-yang source. Using the yin-yang source from the myriad worlds as the foundation, Lin Moyu gathered yin and yang anew, forming a new yin-yang source in the void. As the power of this source steadily grew, Lin Moyu withdrew his force when he felt it was sufficient. All around, the void pressed in, and an invisible power engulfed the newborn yin-yang source. Like a stone sinking into the sea, the yin-yang source vanished instantly.
Failed.
Lin Moyu realized that duplicating a world was not as easy as he had imagined. Even just the step of establishing the yin-yang source was not simple. He carefully sensed the void. It felt thick and muddy like a swamp, yet also surged like ocean waves. The entire void was unstable. Although his attempt failed, that didn't mean it was impossible. The myriad worlds was right there, the best example. Lin Moyu reflected on the birth of the myriad worlds. Although the yin-yang source is the beginning of all things, the appearance of the myriad worlds did not rely solely on it. The myriad world's predecessor was his own rule world. The rule world merged into the great world, and only then did the yin-yang source arrive, injecting new vitality and elevating it to the myriad worlds. There was a process of ascension.
Could it be that I need to create a world embryo first?
Acting on this thought, Lin Moyu tried again. He used the power of the myriad worlds to create a miniature world. This world was tiny, only large enough to contain himself. He succeeded quickly, but as soon as he withdrew his power, the world shattered.
Directly creating a world doesn't work either. Let's try both at once.
Lin Moyu tried again, this time introducing the yin-yang source while creating the world embryo. This time, the new world lasted a few seconds longer before shattering again.
Still not working. Where's the problem?
Lin Moyu was sure his idea was sound, he just wasn't doing something right. Looking at the chaotic energy surrounding him, a flash of insight struck. He suddenly realized his error. That's it, the foundation of a world isn't the yin-yang source, but chaotic energy.
All things arise from chaos. While the yin-yang source is the beginning of all things, it too comes from chaos. Chaos is the root of all heaven and earth, the first and the last.
Grasping this truth, Lin Moyu spread chaotic energy over an area of the void. The chaotic energy gradually dispersed, becoming thin but still able to linger without dissipating. Then, within this chaos, Lin Moyu created a world embryo and infused it with the power of the yin-yang source, forming a new yin-yang source. The world embryo was born. The yin-yang source shone within, and chaos enveloped the world from without. When Lin Moyu withdrew his power, the pressure of the void rolled in, but the chaos blocked it all. The world remained unharmed.
Success!
Lin Moyu's face lit up with joy. He had created a brand new world. Though it contained nothing yet, the sense of accomplishment was immense. With the world embryo formed and the yin-yang source established, the next steps were strengthening and replication. Lin Moyu used part of his mind to control the yin-yang source and the world's power, accelerating the evolution of his tiny new world. The new world grew stronger, and the world tree's branches reached out, following the chaotic energy into the new world, bringing its first spark of life. At this moment, Lin Moyu's attention turned to the myriad worlds. For the first time, he stood outside his own world, observing it from beyond.
Why can the myriad world survive in the void, but the new world cannot?
As he examined it, Lin Moyu noticed something odd. Invisible forces in the void constantly battered the myriad worlds, yet it stood firm. It wasn't just the myriad world's strength, the world tree also played a crucial role. The world tree spread throughout the myriad worlds, forming a protective shell. Together, they withstood the constant assaults of the invisible power. But the impact was always there, and in this ongoing struggle, the myriad world's growth rate was being suppressed. As the myriad worlds grew stronger and larger, the pressure it faced would only increase. Sooner or later, both the world tree and the myriad worlds would reach their limits. This sudden experiment with creating a multiverse made Lin Moyu realize this, and he also discovered the solution. The chaotic energy from the great world spread out, gradually enveloping the myriad worlds. Only a thin layer of chaos was needed to easily block the invisible assaults. Lin Moyu couldn't help but marvel at the wonder of chaotic energy. Now, as the myriad worlds continued to grow stronger and the Daos intertwined, the amount of chaos increased and could fully supply the myriad worlds' needs. Not only that, but it could also support the creation of new worlds. With the combined efforts of several factors, the new world rapidly spanned eons in a short time. The yin-yang source stabilized, the structure of the new world became firmer, and the next step was to evolve the Daos and nurture life. But Lin Moyu had another idea. Evolving a world suitable for life was too slow, and nurturing life even slower. It would take at least 1,000,000 years. Even if he used the time Tao to accelerate time 10,000-fold, it would still take 10,000 years or more. He couldn't wait that long. He'd only lived so long himself. So Lin Moyu chose a simpler method, migration, and a wholesale one at that. Within the myriad worlds, there were countless tiny
minor worlds.
These minor worlds were small and weak, but at least complete. Some had already given birth to life, some had even begun cultivating, while others were still in their primitive stages. Lin Moyu picked 10 minor worlds that hadn't yet begun cultivation. With a thought, the will of the myriad worlds descended, and all life in those 10 worlds froze in time. Then Lin Moyu began the migration, moving all 10 minor worlds into the new world, making them its first inhabitants. Other than the yin-yang source, there were no Daos in the new world, so the inhabitants couldn't embark on the path of cultivation. Lin Moyu didn't intend for them to cultivate anyway. This world was destined for the path of technology. As the master of the myriad worlds, Lin Moyu decided the fate of countless beings with a single thought. In his view, this was fair. He had the right and the power, and if they couldn't resist, they had to obey. The 10 minor worlds settled into the new world. Time resumed, and the beings within never even realized anything had happened. Of the 10 worlds, 3 were human, and the other 7 were of different races. Lin Moyu had deliberately chosen this for biodiversity.
All right, next is to migrate the Daos in
Chapter 3906, The Sleeper Within the Physics Great Tao. Lin Moyu's soul returned to find that the revived celestial god people had already come back. Many of them were holding crystals containing the technological data of the celestial god civilization. Lin Moyu told them to wait aside. It wasn't their turn yet, as he still had unfinished business. These people had an important role to play in his multiverse plan. He glanced at the celestial god realm. Its refinement was nearly complete, just a few days away from being fully refined. Creating the new world had taken quite a bit of time, but overall it was still fairly quick. The celestial god civilization's world had already fused with the physics great Tao. Lin Moyu tried to refine it with world-burning fire, but found it impossible, so he had to give up. The next step was to move the entire physics great Tao into the myriad worlds, and then transfer it from the myriad worlds into the newly created world. Standing before the physics great Tao, Lin Moyu felt his own insignificance in the face of its immense power. The oppressive force was enough to make any Tao lord feel suffocated. This Tao was strong, exceptionally strong. Lin Moyu activated the projection of the myriad worlds to confront the physics great Tao, then said to Little Tree,
Little Tree, it's up to you.
Little Tree replied,
Don't worry, Master. Watch me drag it in.
In the projection, countless branches extended and wrapped around the physics great Tao, growing wildly and binding it tightly. With a shout, Little Tree began to exert force to drag the Tao. The physics great Tao rumbled and began to move. The ruins of the celestial god civilization on the Tao collapsed again, becoming even more dilapidated. Many branches snapped from the strain, but Little Tree grew new ones even faster. The branches covering the Tao multiplied and thickened. The physics great Tao started to shift, albeit extremely slowly, toward the myriad worlds. The power of the world tree once again amazed Lin Moyu. It could even drag a great Tao. What couldn't this little fellow do? Still, it was a tremendous effort. Moving such a powerful Tao was no easy feat. The rules around the physics great Tao were being rewritten, and Little Tree had to constantly adapt. Fortunately, the myriad worlds already had an embryonic physics Great Tao, which helped offset some of the effects. Otherwise, things would have been even more troublesome. Lin Moyu cheered Little Tree on, but for now, all he could do was watch. At the current rate, it would take at least 10 days or half a month to finish dragging it. 2 days later, the celestial god realm was fully refined, becoming a world crystal. Once a world that could rival the origin continent, it had now fallen. Holding the world crystal, Lin Moyu could still feel its lingering warmth and immense power. Compared to the Likong world, a cultivator's world was much more suitable for the growth of the myriad worlds.
Why does my karma with the celestial god race still exist?
Lin Moyu was puzzled. The celestial god realm was gone, and the celestial god civilization destroyed, yet his karmic connection to the celestial god race remained. Not only that, it was still strong, as if the karma was right before him. Lin Moyu became alert. Karma does not lie. If it exists, it exists. This meant the celestial god race was not extinct. There was at least one survivor. Moreover, this survivor could manipulate karma and was very powerful. Suddenly, his soul sent a warning. Lin Moyu shouted,
"Get back!"
Little Tree instantly withdrew its branches, and Lin Moyu also retreated.
"Who dares disturb this god's slumber?"
With a deep voice, the physics Great Tao rumbled, and all the world tree branches that hadn't yet withdrawn shattered simultaneously. The ruins of the celestial god civilization collapsed for a third time, turning to dust. A terrifying pressure swept out, chilling Lin Moyu to the core. He immediately retreated, withdrew the myriad worlds projection, and with a wave, collected all the revived celestial god people. He didn't want them harmed, they were crucial to his multiverse plan. The undead servants instantly assembled, with hundreds of billions arrayed in the void, ready for battle. The pressure intensified, crashing like a storm, surpassing the limits of a Tao Lord and seeming to approach another level.
A great Tao Lord?
Lin Moyu wondered.
No, it doesn't seem like it. There's no eternal aura.
Lin Moyu's first instinct was that a great Tao Lord had arrived, but it didn't feel quite right. It was weaker than a true great Tao Lord. Most importantly, there was no eternal aura. All great Tao Lords have a unique aura that comes from fusing with the Tao after achieving eternity. But this being, though strong, lacked that aura. Suddenly, a giant hand burst from beneath the ground of the physics Great Tao, slamming onto the earth with terrifying force that obliterated everything within 10,000 miles. The hand propped itself up, cracking the ground, and a giant climbed out from beneath the earth.
He was actually inside the Tao itself.
Beneath the ground was the Tao. Lin Moyu hadn't expected a hidden existence within the Tao itself. This being was clearly a celestial god. Yet when the celestial god race was wiped out and the celestial god realm refined, he hadn't appeared. Only now, as Lin Moyu tried to move the physics Great Tao, did he awaken. The giant slowly stood atop the Tao, spreading magnificent wings behind him. Unlike other celestial gods, his wings were completely different. They should be called plumes, not wings. The plumes radiated rainbow light, stunningly beautiful. He had 16 pairs of wings, 32 in total. The previous 26-winged celestial god statue was already as strong as a top-tier world lord. But a statue is still just a statue, not a living being, merely a war machine. This being, however, was a living 32-winged celestial god. His gaze locked onto Lin Moyu.
You're the one who disturbed this god's slumber. Who are you?
Lin Moyu called out, completely unafraid. The other's gaze was as sharp as a blade. He sneered.
An ant like you dares ask this god's name?
Lin Moyu felt increasingly uneasy. This being kept referring to himself as
this god,
and was frighteningly arrogant. Couldn't he see that the celestial god civilization was destroyed and Lin Moyu was the enemy? Suddenly, Lin Moyu thought of a possibility.
Are you the celestial god race's progenitor?
Would a technological world even have such an existence? Wasn't that something only cultivation worlds had? Lin Moyu wasn't certain, but this fellow was no fake. He radiated an ancient aura so ancient that Lin Moyu felt even in Yuyen wasn't as old. The being looked around, then at his feet, then closed his eyes to sense. He muttered to himself,
All the celestial god people are dead, I can feel it. The bloodline is completely severed.
He slowly opened his eyes.
To think I slept so long that, upon waking, all my descendants are dead. It must be your doing, ant. So you're strong, but still just an ant. What should I do with you? Keep you as a pet, or crush you outright? I've slept so long, maybe it's time to stretch my limbs and see how the world has changed. Having a new pet doesn't sound so bad. And I'll give you a chance. Kneel and beg for mercy, and I'll spare your life and keep you as a pet.
He seemed to be talking to himself, but also to Lin Moyu. His eyes full of mockery, he didn't take Lin Moyu seriously at all. Chapter 3907. God of Light. Arrogant, proud, disregarding all beings, and ignoring Lin Moyu. This was the impression Lin Moyu had of him. Lin Moyu felt he was somewhat conceited, but it seemed he had the strength to back it up. Aside from eternal beings like Yin Yuyen and the human emperor, this guy was the strongest Lin Moyu had ever encountered. He wasn't eternal, but was infinitely close to it. Lin Moyu thought, those great Tao lords who failed to send their Taos into the origin land are probably at about this level. However, he couldn't tell what Tao this being cultivated, he'd only know once they truly fought. Lin Moyu wasn't afraid. Even if he was a great Tao lord, as long as he wasn't eternal, there was still a chance to kill him. Even if he were eternal, he could be beaten into silence after all. The Lord of Time was a perfect example. Lin Moyu frowned and said,
Did you wake up confused? You want to make me your pet, but I don't even know who you are. At least tell me your identity and how strong you are.
He didn't attack immediately. Lin Moyu wanted to get some information from this being. As the progenitor of the celestial god race, having slumbered within the physics great Tao for countless ages, he was far more ancient than anyone else. Such a person must have a wealth of information worth digging out. The key was, he didn't seem very bright. He seemed a bit muddled from his long sleep and actually answered Lin Moyu.
And since you ask so sincerely, I'll tell you. I am the Lord God of Light, the master of the light great Tao, and I will one day become the master of the physics great Tao and achieve eternity. Do you know what eternity is? At your level, you wouldn't understand at all. Become my pet, and I can show you a different world.
His tone was supremely arrogant, even more so than before.
So he really is a great Tao Lord of the Light Tao.
Lin Moyu thought.
If I remember right, the Light Tao is a branch of the broader Light Great Tao. The master of a branch Great Tao is strong, but still far from eternity.
Lin Moyu mused that among great Tao lords, those who mastered branch Taos and those who mastered origin Taos were not the same. At the very least, a branch Tao lord could not send their Tao into the origin land and achieve eternity. All the Taos in the origin land are origin Taos. Lin Moyu guessed that it was because he knew he couldn't achieve eternity through the light Tao that he now sought the physics great Tao. But didn't he know the origin land was already full? Still, a branch Tao lord shouldn't be this strong. He was infinitely close to eternity, and felt even stronger than some origin Tao lords. Seeing Lin Moyu silent, the Lord God of Light assumed he was stunned. Arrogantly, he said,
Afraid, aren't you? You're just a minor Tao Lord, countless steps away from becoming a great Tao Lord. You'll have to fight many Tao battles and could die at any time. Follow me, and I'll take you through Tao battles and help you become a great Tao Lord.
Lin Moyu thought for a moment, then asked,
If you're so strong, why did you create the celestial god race? The race you created was so weak that even an ant like me could destroy them.
The God of Light replied,
I was slumbering here and needed someone to guard me, so I created them. They turned out to be useless, so weak.
Weak? Lin Moyu didn't think the celestial god race was weak. At their peak, even this progenitor might not have been able to defeat them all. Lin Moyu continued,
But why did you slumber here? You're the Lord of the Light Tao, but the physics Tao doesn't seem to match you.
He already suspected the answer, but asked anyway to confirm it. The God of Light sneered, his tone changing.
How could a mere ant understand what I'm doing? Now that you know who I am and how powerful I am, kneel and beg for mercy, become my pet.
He wasn't stupid, just not fully awake, so he wouldn't reveal too much. His tone was now like a final ultimatum. Lin Moyu sighed.
I don't want to be your pet. How about we compromise? You've slept for so many years now that you're awake. Go see the outside world. I won't trouble you, but this Tao belongs to me.
This wasn't a compromise at all, it was telling the God of Light to leave the Tao behind and get lost. The God of Light's expression changed dramatically.
Courting death.
Lin Moyu quickly retreated and waved his hand, sending hundreds of billions of undead servants to attack.
An ant dares to resist?
The God of Light roared. His wings burst with dazzling light, illuminating the void. The light was like swords, instantly killing over 100 million undead servants. Against a great Tao Lord, the undead servants were powerless. Lin Moyu knew this was normal. A true master of a Tao could fully wield its power. Of course they'd be strong. There are countless worlds and countless Tao projections, but only one true master of a Tao. To a great Tao Lord, undead servants were indeed like ants. Lin Moyu muttered.
But even ants, if there are enough, can kill an elephant.
The just killed undead servants revived on the spot and attacked the God of Light with all their might. The undead army spread out, attacking from all directions. The God of Light was always shrouded in a faint radiance. The undead servants' attacks could not break through it. This light was like the protective divine light of the extraterritorial celestial gods. As their progenitor, he was the true source. Anything the celestial gods could do, he could do better. Lin Moyu saw that this radiance was essentially Tao power. He was using the true body of his Tao to protect himself. For the undead servants to break through that was extremely difficult. The space Tao Lich waved its little hand, opening space channels and sending huge numbers of undead right next to the God of Light. The undead instantly began self-destructing, causing earth-shattering explosions in the void. The recently restored void was once again shattered. The self-destruct attacks seemed to have some effect. The God of Light's protective radiance finally began to distort. Lin Moyu was secretly pleased it was possible to fight him. As long as the self-destruction continued, the defense would eventually break. As the protective radiance was shaken, the God of Light's arrogant and indifferent expression finally changed.
I didn't expect you could shake my divine light. You little ant are stronger than I thought. I'll give you one more chance. Swear now to become my pet, and I'll spare your life.
Lin Moyu sneered.
Actually, I have plenty of ways to kill you, but I'm too lazy to bother. My offer still stands. Leave now and I'll spare you.
Of course, he knew the God of Light would never agree. He was just provoking him. Sure enough, the God of Light's eyes filled with rage.
In that case, go die.
A brilliant light blazed, shining like a sun. The protective radiance grew even stronger, harder to shake. But Lin Moyu wasn't worried. He kept up the explosions. He had endless undead servants, and could keep fighting and summoning more. They would never run out. The True Fire Tao Lich and Blood Tao Lich attacked together. Blood surged. True Fire burned. Chapter 3908. 500 billion against 1. The two elemental Tao Liches didn't use their full strength at first. Lin Moyu wasn't sure if going all out against the God of Light would draw heavenly punishment, since the God of Light was a great Tao Lord recognized by the heavens. But since the celestial god race was his descendant and fighting them didn't bring retribution, Lin Moyu reasoned that fighting him likely wouldn't either. Still, the will of heaven is hard to fathom, so the two elemental Tao Liches started at only 40% power, planning to ramp up if there was no backlash. Crimson blood surged in massive waves, polluting the God of Light's protective divine radiance and weakening it noticeably. True fire directly burned at the God of Light's true spirit, causing him indescribable pain.
Crimson blood, great Tao. True fire, great Tao.
The God of Light cried out in disbelief. These two Taos were extremely rare, and he was shocked anyone could wield them. Only now did he realize he had underestimated Lin Moyu.
You little ant, you're actually interesting. I've changed my mind. I won't kill you. I'll capture you and study you. There must be secrets on your body.
With that, He turned into a streak of light and charged at Lin Moyu. Countless undead servants were blasted away, shattered to pieces, but even more rushed forward, forming a living shield for Lin Moyu. Surrounded by endless undead, the god of light's speed slowed. He was encircled by 500 billion undead servants, trapped with no way in or out. He erupted with blinding light, unleashing devastating attacks that slaughtered undead servants by the millions. But every time they died, they revived instantly. There was no end to them. The Space Tao Lich worked in perfect sync, constantly teleporting undead servants to optimal positions for self-destruction. For a moment, even the god of light felt overwhelmed, roaring in frustration as he lost his former arrogance and composure. He realized Lin Moyu was not so easy to kill. At this point, the Crimson Blood Tao Lich and True Fire Tao Lich increased their power to 50%, breaking through the threshold for heavenly punishment.
No punishment, either the heavens don't recognize him, or it's due to the physics great Tao's influence, or both.
Lin Moyu thought.
In that case, let's go all out.
He ordered the two liches to ramp up further, and the little ones cheered, attacking with even greater force. The Sword Tao Lich joined in, transforming into a sharp blade and stabbing at the god of light. The Space Tao Lich also struck, using the Space Great Tao to try to tear him apart. Even at full power, there was still no heavenly punishment, this reassured Lin Moyu. For Tao Liches, each as strong as a Great Tao Lord, were his trump cards. With all four attacking one target, the god of light was in real trouble. He might be infinitely close to eternity, but he was still only a Great Tao Lord. Roaring, the god of light activated the physics Great Tao, which began to suppress all other Taos. Both the undead army and the four elemental liches were affected. The myriad worlds projection appeared in the void, using its own power to offset the physics Great Tao's influence. Seeing the myriad worlds, the god of light's expression changed drastically.
What is that thing?
Lin Moyu smiled lightly.
Something that can kill you.
The myriad worlds was Lin Moyu's own independent world, completely different from this universe, with its own Taos and rules. Naturally, the god of light didn't recognize it, but as a Great Tao Lord, he could sense its extraordinary nature. With the myriad worlds present, the physics Great Tao suppression was greatly weakened. The four elemental liches attacked at full strength, joining the undead army in besieging the god of light. Only now did he realize he was in real trouble. Forget killing Lin Moyu, he couldn't even escape. In his eyes, Lin Moyu should have been an ant he could crush at any moment, yet now, protected by an endless swarm of
ants,
he was a headache to deal with. The god of light roared.
Let's see how many of these little trash you have.
He burst with even greater radiance, transforming into a blazing sun. 16 pairs of wings beat furiously, firing beams of light into the void. The beams were deadly. Any undead servant they touched was instantly annihilated. It was unimaginable. Tao lords who ruled their own worlds, who hunted Tao beasts in the void, were now being killed like nothing before a Great Tao Lord. It made Lin Moyu realize how much more powerful someone like the human emperor must be. Killing the god of light would be nothing to him.
Kill! Kill! Kill!
The god of light went berserk, but it was useless. The undead servants kept dying and reviving, their numbers never diminishing. Even after dying 10 times, they'd be reborn in the myriad worlds and return to battle. Lin Moyu hadn't even sent out all his undead, only half. 500 billion against 1. For the god of light, this was more than enough. Watching from afar, Lin Moyu saw that the god of light couldn't even get close to him. With the Space Tao Lich around, he couldn't even shatter space to escape. The Sword Tao Lich led the charge, clashing head-on with the god of light. The True Fire Tao Lich's flames tormented him, while the Crimson Blood Tao Lich's power polluted his divine light, staining it with blood and making it less pure. The god of light felt his power weakening, realizing it was due to the Crimson Blood Great Tao, but he was helpless to stop it.
It's easy to invite a god, but hard to send one away.
He thought, if he'd accepted Lin Moyu's offer to compromise, things wouldn't have come to this. But he knew he couldn't give up the physics great Tao. It was the foundation of his path to the Tao. There could only be one survivor in this battle. Lin Moyu watched, thinking,
Looks like I won't need to use the empty soul crystal.
He only had 3 and had already used 2 against the Tao will. Using another would be a waste. They were hard to get, and asking Emperor Qinzhong for more would come at a steep price. So if he could avoid using it, he would. As things stood, the God of Light would eventually be worn down. It was just a matter of time. The God of Light's strength faded, polluted by the crimson blood Tao and tormented by the true fire, his mind growing increasingly disordered. Lin Moyu smiled. The situation was only getting better for him. Moments later, the God of Light suddenly retracted all his wings and shrank his massive body. 3 seconds later, he stretched out violently, shattering the void and revealing a deeper layer of space. The shadow of the Origin Ancestral Land appeared.
He wants to escape to the Origin Ancestral Land.
A great Tao Lord can enter the Origin Ancestral Land at any time, not just in normal circumstances, but also in moments of danger. The God of Light was trying to use this method to escape. Chapter 3909, The World of the Science Tao. Just as Lin Moyu expected, the God of Light used his full power to open a passage to the Origin Ancestral Land. He was going to enter the Origin Ancestral Land. Lin Moyu had no way to stop him and could only watch helplessly. Letting a tiger return to the mountain would bring trouble later. But for now, Lin Moyu had no solution. The God of Light shouted angrily,
I lost this battle, but one day, you will die by my hand.
With those harsh words, he fled into the Origin Ancestral Land in a rather sorry state and disappeared. The undead servants who tried to pursue him were all pushed back by an invisible force and couldn't follow. The void closed like a door, and the Origin Ancestral Land vanished. A few elemental liches flew back, chattering,
Master, he actually ran away. What a coward!
Lin Moyu chuckled.
It's fine, I'll kill him sooner or later.
Against such beings, if you can't kill them in one blow, you have to be ready for them to escape. With the karmic connection, they would inevitably meet again for another battle. But by then, Lin Moyu would be even stronger, and killing him would be easier. As for the God of Light, his path had already reached its end. The moment he left, he would never again have the chance to step into eternity. Looking at the physics great Tao, Lin Moyu said softly,
Little tree, get to work.
Little Tree had been ready for a while. Countless branches shot out and wrapped around the physics great Tao, once again dragging it. The physics great Tao rumbled constantly, moving bit by bit toward the myriad worlds. As Lin Moyu watched the physics great Tao slowly move, he reflected on what the God of Light had done. He had become a great Tao Lord through the Light Tao, and at that point, he must have realized he could never achieve eternity. A branch Tao can never enter the Origin Land. Even if there had once been space in the Origin Land, he'd never had a chance. So he sought new opportunities. There is always a sliver of hope in the world, and the God of Light was lucky enough to find his, the physics great Tao. The physics great Tao was not in the Origin Ancestral Land, but it was a true great Tao, and its true body was right here. The God of Light must have sensed its power and believed that if he could become its master, he might reach eternity. Even if he couldn't, his strength would likely rival an eternal. In the end, it was all about the pursuit of power. He slumbered within the physics great Tao, somehow obtained a world, merged it with the physics great Tao, and created the celestial god race. The celestial god race grew and evolved within the physics great Tao, eventually becoming a technological civilization, the strongest technological civilization. The reason the God of Light created the celestial god race was because he walked the path of cultivation and didn't understand the physics great Tao, so he couldn't comprehend or cultivate it himself. His cultivation path was too deeply ingrained to change, so he created a new race to learn and comprehend it for him. The celestial god race never knew they had a progenitor, and all their research became the foundation for the God of Light's understanding of the physics great Tao. With their extraordinary talent and the advantage of living within the physics great Tao, the celestial god race quickly rose to the pinnacle of technological civilization. But even then, they found themselves at a dead end and continued searching for a way forward. They discovered that there was a broader world outside, but technology could not stray too far from the physics Great Tao. So they found a way to obtain a new world and sent their people into it, away from the physics Great Tao, eventually forming the Celestial God Realm. The Celestial God Realm's path of cultivation, combined with the Celestial God race's technological civilization, was their attempt to break through. Even when Lin Moyu destroyed them, the God of Light was still asleep, completely unaware until Lin Moyu started moving the Great Tao and woke him up. As he said, the Celestial God race was just a tool unimportant to him. The physics Great Tao was his true foundation and could not be lost. The Celestial God race's countless years of research all became nourishment for the God of Light, bringing him ever closer to mastering the physics Great Tao. But Lin Moyu knew that the God of Light could never achieve eternity through the physics Great Tao, because that's not what it was for. This Tao contained too much information. As a single Tao, it nearly encompassed the functions of all Taos and set countless rules. The true use of the physics Great Tao was to be placed in a blank slate world, which would then become a technological civilization. Lin Moyu believed there was a path forward for technological civilization. The Celestial God race just hadn't found it. As expected, after dragging for a full 6 months, the physics Great Tao was finally pulled into the myriad worlds. The moment it entered, the entire myriad worlds shook. All the Taos seemed to resist, but the true body of the physics Great Tao was too powerful. The Taos within the myriad worlds were too weak in comparison, so their resistance was negligible.
Just as I thought, if I really put the physics Great Tao in the myriad worlds, all the Taos would be affected. My world would become a muddled mess, and neither technology nor cultivation would reach the peak.
Lin Moyu confirmed his thinking. The physics Great Tao could not coexist with cultivation-type Taos. Little Tree didn't stop, dragging the physics Great Tao along the chaotic energy out of the myriad worlds and into the new world. Not just the true body, but the embryonic form was also brought along. With the true body present, the embryonic form was fused into it, and the process went smoothly. Another half-year passed, and the physics Great Tao officially entered the new world. This new world was a blank slate. Aside from 10 small worlds and a not very strong yin-yang source, it had nothing. The physics Great Tao's entry caused no disruption. Under its influence, the yin-yang source would no longer evolve other Taos. Even if it did, they would only be technological Taos according to the rules set by the physics Great Tao. From now on, this world would be a pure technological world. Lin Moyu realized that the reason the Celestial God race couldn't reach the peak was that the physics Great Tao, being in the world, was still affected by cultivation-type Taos and the world's rules. In his own new world, the physics Great Tao would be the master of all rules and would surely reach the peak. Next, Lin Moyu placed tens of millions of revived Celestial God people into the new world, officially giving them their task. Now, as revived beings, they no longer needed to worry about lifespan. As long as Lin Moyu lived, they would not die. He instructed them to continue researching technology and to find ways to make their findings understandable to him, so he could learn from them. At the same time, they could help the 10 worlds as needed, guiding them through their most difficult periods. The Celestial God race would become guides, leading the development of the new world according to Lin Moyu's will. When someone outstanding emerged from the 10 worlds, they would evolve into a myriad worlds, and eventually the world would develop its own hierarchy. Lin Moyu named this new world the world of the Science Tao, a world that pursues the Tao through technology. Chapter 39:10. The longer it drags, the more troublesome it gets. Currently, the Science Tao world is still very weak. It is connected to the myriad worlds through chaotic energy, and the myriad worlds will supply part of its power to the Science Tao world to help it grow. Under the influence of the myriad worlds, the final structure and pattern of the Science Tao world will be exactly the same as the myriad worlds. The multiverse plan has finally taken an extremely important step forward. Standing within the chaotic energy, Lin Moyu looked at the world he had created with his own hands, feeling a great sense of accomplishment. Although the myriad worlds had to allocate some of its power to the Science Tao world, the discovery that chaotic energy could shield against the formless forces of the void meant that much of the saved power, after supplying the Science Tao world, was still left over. The growth of the myriad worlds is now faster than ever. The world crystal obtained from refining the celestial god realm was handed over to the myriad worlds for absorption, and thanks to its high quality, the myriad worlds grew even further after assimilating it. With a thought, Lin Moyu slowly opened his eyes and looked into the void. The great battle was over, the physics great Tao had vanished, and the void was recovering. Layer upon layer of spatial force surged like waves, pushing him out of the deep space layer by layer. Lin Moyu did not resist and gradually returned to the surface layer of space. This was the world's process of restoring space. The influence of the physics great Tao was fading, and all technological civilizations here would soon face a new set of rules. The rules of the cultivation Taos would quickly spread and replace those of the physics great Tao. Most technology would lose its effectiveness, though some might remain. Lin Moyu wasn't sure which would be kept. After some time, the living beings in these worlds might embark on the path of cultivation. Under the dominance of the world's rules, this was inevitable. Years later, the former light of technology would completely fade, becoming dust of history until it disappeared entirely. During this process, some worlds might wither, others might grow strong, such as the inevitable result of the world's evolution. Major environmental changes bring about survival of the fittest with no alternative. Lin Moyu understood these principles well. These thoughts flashed through his mind. Now, standing at a higher vantage point, he saw things differently from before. Putting aside the changes in the world's pattern after the loss of the physics great Tao, Lin Moyu gazed into the depths of the void. There, amid the surging waves of space, a faint shadow flickered in and out of sight. It had no soul, no aura, yet truly existed. Its form of existence struck Lin Moyu as peculiar. Someone was hiding in the void, watching him. If not for the folding and changes of space, he might not have noticed the other party at all. Seemingly aware of Lin Moyu's gaze, and certain that Lin Moyu had discovered him, the other revealed a vague outline. Separated by tens of millions of miles, Lin Moyu saw a constantly twisting and changing figure. This being seemed to have no body, twisting with the space itself. A voice cold enough to freeze the soul slowly echoed.
As expected of the one I chose. You're quite good, I'm very satisfied.
With a burst of laughter, the figure vanished completely. Lin Moyu's expression grew grave. He already knew who it was. The Lord of Curses. This Eternal who had slumbered for countless ages now intended to return, and had chosen Lin Moyu as his vessel. As for why, Lin Moyu had some guesses. Years ago, in the secret realm of the Great World, he had encountered a powerful figure from the Black Blood realm. To save his life, he used an origin spell, which drew an exclamation of surprise. That exclamation came from another layer of time and space. He had once seen a black blood sword sink across time and space to attack him. It must have been then that the Lord of Curses took notice of him. Lin Moyu did not understand what form the slumber of an Eternal took, but he was sure the people of the Black Blood realm did not have the ability to attack him across time and space. If anyone did, it could only be the Lord of Curses.
If I'm not mistaken, the Lord of Curses will has already spread throughout the entire Black Blood civilization, including the Black Blood realm. And Yuyan never said exactly what kind of being the Lord of Curses is. He might not be human, might not even have a physical body, or his body might be ruined beyond repair. That's why he needs a new vessel, and because I have origin spells and great fortune, he's set his sights on my body.
Lin Moyu considered all the possibilities, and with his current deductive power, he was almost certain of his conclusions. The only problem was, the Lord of Curses seemed to be reviving sooner than expected.
It looks like I can't delay any longer. It's better to go now while the Lord of Curses hasn't fully recovered. It might be easier to deal with him. If I wait a few thousand more years, things could get much more troublesome.
A sense of urgency welled up in Lin Moyu. He realized that resolving the crisis of the Lord of Curses was now a pressing matter. He hadn't planned to go to the Black Blood realm immediately, but now it seemed he had no choice. Lin Moyu comforted himself, then took out the power of karma given by an Yuyan and activated his karmic connection to the Black Blood realm to pinpoint its location. He also used the karma crystal given by the Golden Lion Dao Lord. Both pointed to the same place. Lin Moyu no longer hesitated and headed straight for the Black Blood Realm. At the same time, he issued an order to the revived celestial god people in the Science Dao world, telling them to quickly restore control of the 1,000 statues and hand the authority over to him. Those 1,000 statues were extremely powerful, stronger than Dao Lords. Last time, it had taken 100 billion undead troops just to tie them down. They were the most brilliant technological achievement of the celestial god civilization. Now, with the physics great Dao in his possession and the world projection, these statues could be put to great use in his hands. He had a feeling that the Black Blood Realm and Black Blood civilization would not be easy to deal with. Even if the Lord of Curses had only partially revived, his power might already surpass that of the celestial god civilization. But there was one advantage: with the physics great Dao gone, some of the technological weapons in the Black Blood civilization might have already lost their effectiveness. And since the Black Blood civilization's path combined cultivation and technology, their power would be greatly reduced. Lin Moyu continued to teleport through space, crossing infinite distances in a short time. The Celestial God civilization and the Black Blood civilization were in the Soul Void, in two different Great Spirit domains, separated by a vast distance. Even in the real world, the distance was just as great.
I hope the Black Blood realm, like the Celestial God realm, returned to its homeland after being wounded. If not, that'll be a problem.
The karmic connection pointed to the Black Blood realm, not the Black Blood civilization. If the two weren't together, he'd have to spend more effort. As Lin Moyu headed for the Black Blood realm, he formulated a simple and direct plan. Kill. He had no idea how to deal with the not yet fully revived Lord of Curses where he was, what form he existed in, or what actions he might take. He knew nothing. All he knew was that the Black Blood realm and Black Blood civilization existed because of him. So he would simply kill them all. Besides, he already had a deep grudge with the Black Blood realm, one that would not end until one side was dead. He would leave not a single survivor, wipe them out completely, and the problem would be solved. Chapter 39:11. Why so weak? A month later, Lin Moyu still hadn't reached his destination. The world was simply too vast. Even with his speed, he couldn't arrive in an instant. He felt a bit envious of Yuyan's speed. Despite being separated by infinite distance, she could arrive in a short time. If he could do that, things would be much more convenient.
A great Dao Lord's speed must be related to the Origin Ancestral Land. The Origin Ancestral Land's projection covers the entire world, but the land itself isn't that large. Great Dao Lords probably move through the Origin Ancestral Land, which is why they're so fast. Compared to Great Dao Lords, the Discernment Beast's way of moving is even more direct. It breaks through the boundary between the real and virtual worlds, jumping from the soul void to the real world, then back again.
Lin Moyu pondered, and his guess about both movement methods was almost spot on. Either way was better than his current method of repeated space jumps. But the method that would suit him best was another. When the myriad worlds could project itself across all existence, he could move anywhere instantly through it, whether in the real world or the soul void. He'd be able to go wherever he wished with a single thought. 2 months later, the revived celestial god people brought good news. They had developed a technological artifact that could control the 1,000 powerful statues. This artifact was palm-sized, pure tech inside but modified on the outside by the Daos of the myriad worlds, so it could be powered by soul force. Lin Moyu tried it and found it worked well. This technological artifact was like the one Xiao Zhantian had once obtained, a fusion of technology and artifact. But now that the physics great Dao was gone, most technological artifacts in all worlds would eventually lose their function. Only a few special ones would still work, and even then, their effectiveness would be greatly reduced. By taking away the physics great Dao, Lin Moyu had changed some fundamental rules. But Lin Moyu didn't care about that. For the sake of greater strength, he wouldn't worry about the consequences. He continued space jumping for a full 3 months, using karma several times to adjust his course, with no idea how far he'd actually traveled. Finally, after 3 months, he arrived at the location indicated by karma. Even before getting close, Lin Moyu's expression grew grave. The world mist ahead was different. Everywhere else, the world mist was gray, but here it was a strange black-red. Black tinged with red, like blood so thick it turned black. Just looking at it, Lin Moyu's soul could smell the stench of blood. The scent pierced his soul, making it faintly ache. This wasn't ordinary blood, it was a mix of slaughter, evil, curses, corruption, and more.
Disgusting.
Lin Moyu muttered. He'd spent years dealing with corpses, undead, and curses, and his immunity to evil far exceeded most, but this still made him feel sick. He'd seen people from the Black Blood realm and knew what black blood was like, but he hadn't expected the Black Blood realm to be so intense. Other worlds dispersed the mist, but the Black Blood realm directly polluted it. He summoned the Crimson Blood Dao Lich.
Take a look, how is this different from your crimson blood?
The Crimson Blood Dao Lich's little face scrunched up in disgust.
There's so much filth in there, it's unbearable. My crimson blood is pure pollution power, very pure, not like this filth at all. Can you tell what it is?
Lin Moyu asked. The Crimson Blood Dao Lich shook its head.
No, just that it's filthy, filthy beyond words.
Lin Moyu muttered.
Lord of Curses, is this the stuff your blood produces?
As he spoke, he waved his hand and sent forth the world-burning fire, which turned into a sea of flames and began refining everything. Instantly, vast amounts of world mist were incinerated. The black-red mist retreated rapidly before the world-burning fire. The world-burning fire could refine worlds and burn away all filth and impurities within them. The polluted world mist ahead was the Black Blood Realm's territory. Refining it posed no problem. The world-burning fire rapidly spread through the mist, burning ever more fiercely. 100 billion undead servants rushed out, quickly spreading through the world mist and forming a ring of encirclement outside the fire. Lin Moyu knew the Black Blood Realm too well if he wanted to kill them. He couldn't let even one escape. Any powerful being from the Black Blood Realm, if even a single drop of blood escaped, could regenerate after countless years. They were impossible to kill off otherwise. He had to be extremely careful. He couldn't let even half a drop of blood escape. He summoned the Space Dao Lich.
Set up a spatial isolation barrier around the Black Blood Realm. Nothing is allowed to leave, not even half a drop of blood.
The Space Dao Lich obeyed, flying to the edge of the world and laying down the barrier. With its power, unless a great Dao Lord arrived in person, the barrier would be almost impossible to break. Still uneasy, Lin Moyu had the Crimson Blood Dao Lich add a layer of crimson blood outside the spatial barrier, creating multiple layers of defense. As the world-burning fire burned, the world mist shrank, and the undead army's encirclement tightened. The isolation barriers set by the Space and Crimson Blood Dao Liches remained unchanged, still enclosing the entire Black Blood Realm. After much of the world mist was burned away, the Black Blood Realm finally stirred. Lin Moyu saw clusters of soul flames appear in the mist. Black Blood Realm powerhouses were trying to escape. In the past, each Black Blood Realm opponent had given Lin Moyu a headache. They were powerful, formless, fiercely aggressive, and extremely hard to kill. But now, the ones emerging were only a few at the Great Dao Realm. Most were just Dao Venerables, some even Heavenly Venerables. So weak it was completely beyond Lin Moyu's expectations. Screams echoed from the soul, and before they could even escape, they were burned to death and refined by the world-burning fire. They were turned to ash before they even saw their enemy, dying without knowing how.
How can they be so weak?
Lin Moyu wondered. Even if the Black Blood Realm was weakened, it should at least be on par with the Celestial God Realm. The world-burning fire kept burning, the area shrinking until all the world mist was gone, and the Black Blood Realm was revealed. Lin Moyu's frown deepened. This world was simply too weak. Other than the world that had already perished and the one ruled by the Soul Heart King, this was the weakest world Lin Moyu had ever seen. How could the mighty Black Blood Realm be reduced to this? The world wasn't just small, even its strongest inhabitant was only a 7th grade soul at the Great Dao Realm. Even if he had taken away the physics Great Dao and changed the rules so that technological weapons no longer worked, it shouldn't have affected the Black Blood realm this much. Lin Moyu sensed something was wrong, but couldn't figure out why. For now, there was only one thing to do. Kill first, ask questions later. The world-burning fire blazed even more fiercely, beginning to refine the Black Blood realm.